Have you heard from a fellow named Earl Herring by chance? He's got a place out there, and I gave him your name to do some odds and ends of his camp.
I've got some bathroom remodel needs for the Robersons, and they've got a.
There's a no, I got it served.
Right next, right close to you.
Did you talk to
Roberson.
Robson.
Robson, sorry, yeah.
What time is it? 4 o'clock, right?
Robson. But yeah, Robson's right down there, that little awning,
You're
their
on
little garage.
Donkey Kong, he may not show up.
Like a lean-to, yes.
It's.
You want to talk about that?
Whatever,
Yeah.
so I told them I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
get
did
it
that.
small, but not when it's,
Oh, I haven't.
Just say that you guys
I
want
gotta get some
to.
water this time.
That's
Pretty
good.
good listening on the,
Water works in the short
I don't
legs.
know
you know what day
Sounds
we do
like
that.
time.
We're gonna talk to them down and listen with you
Another month.
Wednesday or Friday.
Honestly, I don't think it makes a difference to me.
Meal.
Like this time.
It's like deep water, so that's helpful.
I think it was 1 o'clock,
But
but
it ain't that other
Bunch of
side.
waiters on.
I was out demoing.
Maybe this isn't the one I printed.
Thanksgiving, but I was in the waiter,
Okay.
and it was cold. That, you know, that plastic in your legs, you get in for about an hour or so, and you have to get out to get your legs
Froze.
getting numb. Just, yeah.
Yeah, that's something that the city was saying, I have to get on that. It's due by the first. Do that.
They're supposed to say yoke here, we'll talk a bit.
yeah.
Wednesday at 1 or Friday at 1:30.
We want to do Wednesday?
Sure.
Sure, let's do Wednesday.
That works.
I'll come down. If you'll reply and let them know the next week you do Wednesday.
Okay.
How old are those dogs, do you know?
I don't know, they're older.
Yeah.
We have someone that wants to adopt them. Got their information. We're just supposed to tell them, they'll take both. We're supposed to tell them what we want to do.
Do you have to have anything legally signed by
No
the
idea.
owner? Because
Well,
he indicated he
we
wanted
have
to
that.
relinquish right. Okay.
We have that, yep.
Okay.
Well, Buncy County sent that to us.
Good deal.
I might have a buyer for the IGA store.
What?
And they could have it for $1. You know what the going price was last year?
You still have to get 2017.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
It's not really Sabatini, so it's
Right.
always the corporation, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Maybe we should just give it back to the corporation now.
I thought about it.
It'd be cheaper than paying them $2,000 to get rid of it.
Yeah, they're probably just so tuned they come get us.
Right.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere.
They don't want it. I don't know if that was the expense they had in when they transferred it to the city. I don't remember.
Did you bring one more with you, Justin? Michelle? Did you bring one more with you?
Yes. 2 more.
2 more. Okay.
Okay, Dan. I'm gonna.
This section, right here.
Here's the latest from McGivern if you're interested.
Okay.
The last, should be the last thing.
Okay.
I'm not gonna read it.
Do you want to be?
I mean, it's.
You're not gonna narrate it?
Well, the Supreme Court's been denied.
Sorry, I did not.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
That's
waste
okay.
my time reading it.
Yeah, I do.
I'll put you in there. Okay, you ready?
Perfect.
I'm here.
Okay,
May regret saying that.
let's get started with the pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
do a roll call. Meeting's called to order. Michelle?
Here.
Annie? Brett? Here. Justin? Here. Tim? All right, everybody has the agenda in front of them.
I'm going to adopt the agenda. Are there any additions?
I'll second.
We have a motion to adopt the agenda as written and a second. Further discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
I'm going to approve appropriation ordinance
We gotta do the
1499.
minutes next.
I'm marked it too quick. Sorry about that.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I don't. Sorry, there's a change that needs to be made. It's minor, but it's on me.
Yep, I see it
already. Get that done.
Third paragraph in the bottom.
Yep.
We're gonna change the mayor's last name to Cook instead of Mercer. And I didn't see anything else in there.
Sorry, John.
Anybody else? Pushing.
Minutes for the special meeting.
I
No,
didn't
it's
get
off
those
topic, right?
done. I'm sorry. I didn't get those done on Friday.
Okay.
Okay.
No worries. Yeah, that is pretty
Busy.
short term now, so.
I'll have them for the next one.
Okay. Need a motion to approve the minutes as with the change.
Yep. I'll move to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes with the change by Brett, seconded by Justin. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed?
I'm abstaining since I wasn't here.
I'm abstaining. I wasn't here.
Gotcha.
Now, I
That's
move
a
to
tie.
approve appropriation ordinance 14. Did you have a vote?
Is that?
Well, oh wait, they vote with the majority, is that how abstentions work?
Yeah, you vote, yeah.
Yeah, 2-0. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, sorry.
So hold my motion for appropriation ordinance 1499.
I'll second.
You have a motion to approve the appropriation ordinance. Any further discussion? Do a roll call. Michelle,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
and Tim.
Yes.
Okay, public concerns. Anybody have anything they want to talk about tonight?
I just have one question. About 2 meetings ago, there was a discussion about how far away from the curbing the sidewalk was gonna be put. Guys talked about 36 inches, and then Brett was needed to be 72. And so he was gonna talk to Paula. It's 91 inches. When did you guys decide to make it 91 inches away from the curb? Was that a discussion that you had that I missed?
That's one that I've missed because I've never knew 91 inches was
I had it
a
measured.
number. You had it measured
Yes, sir.
and it's supposed to be what, 72? Is that right? 72.
No. 72.
That's from to the beginning
It
of
was
the
gonna have to
sidewalk.
have a curve, so it was gonna fluctuate, but it was supposed to be no more than 72.
Okay. That was just a mistake then.
On whose part?
His part, I guess. I mean,
The contractor?
I think so. I would say so, but I don't have a grievance against it. It's just that where it was discussed that evening, I thought if there was a change, it would have been in some minutes after that.
I'm not aware of any change that was even brought up prior to that.
It was
72 inches is what.
Yeah. Yeah, I had measured.
Settled.
Okay.
Make a difference.
That's it.
Anyone else comments? Okay, department reports. Stephanie, start with you.
So some good news, I guess. You'll see that our ARPA funding, we got the water meters in. The guys are working on installing those. I'm working on getting those integrated into the system. I reached out to the county and we were a little bit off. We actually had more money than what we thought. So they paid for that $2,000 that I had asked you guys, if we could pay for from G-Works for the new module for the meter reading. So they did that. So everything so far is covered. And I think we even have a little bit of additional money left there. So we can figure out something with that. But there's that. And then I don't think Aspen is here. So on Friday, she worked with Wabunsee County to pick up these dogs from someone's house who can no longer take care of them. He's having some medical issues, had to go to the hospital, looks like won't be home in the foreseeable future. So her and Mike and the sheriff went and got the dogs. They're back here. We did have someone come in today that is interested in adopting them. I guess I just need to figure out from you guys what that person needs, what you want to do there.
I know for the last situation, it was more of a, what do we have in it? And we're just trying to recover that money, but
Yeah.
that's,
And I don't have Aspen's time or anything. I know she's been feeding them all weekend. They were picked up on Friday, and she's come in mornings and then at night make sure they have food and water. But other than that, I mean, I don't know. But
The only thing I would want to know is if the animals were up to date on their immunizations, their shots.
Were they tagged with the city?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. I honestly did not look. So
Am I missing something? When did we turn into a humane shelter?
yeah, we're the step before the humane shelter, but I mean, that's the next step if nobody comes forward.
Well, actually,
He was
But
I don't
We
wanna-
don't do the humane shelter. They go to Auburn and get put
That's
down.
if we pick up a stray dog, but I don't want to turn into that place that someone says, I don't want my pet anymore. Here's city, you take it and deal with it.
I think this was a unique situation.
Okay. Maybe I am missing something then. Okay.
Because it would have been a neglect situation.
Right. Those dogs had
Yeah.
already been in there, I think, for
Okay. I guess I was,
a day or two.
all
They
right.
needed to come out.
You guys did that with Rick Smith's, but I took care of it. They picked Rick Smith's dog up and I took it. And the reason I got it is because the family asked me to pick it up, so I appreciate the city picking up John's dog. This is very, very sad.
And what's John's status now? Do you know? You
He-
mentioned
when he-
something
When
earlier.
he talked to me, he felt like, he was not gonna make it. And he was very, very, very thin, so I would say serious.
And am I mistaken? Did I hear you say also earlier that he was home now?
No, last week when he called me.
Last week, okay. All right.
Friday, Thursday or Friday, whatever day we took groceries down to him and
Sure.
he said he didn't know if he was gonna make it.
Okay.
He
I'm
had
with
made
you
a
now.
couple trips already, I think, to the hospital, and then now he's there for.
This might be a permanent thing. Is he okay with us putting it out for
He
adoption?
wrote a
Okay,
letter
okay, good.
that
All
he
right,
gave to the sheriff, and the
Okay.
sheriff is given to
All right.
Aspen that says he's relinquishing his rights.
very good.
So I don't know what this guy needs. If you just want him to work with Aspen, if you want to come up with a number, what you guys want. I mean,
The person's gonna adopt it?
mhm,
Where does that person live?
I have his
Here in
information.
Eskridge or somewhere else?
In Eskridge, but outside the city limits.
Outside the city? Okay.
Generally, we just want them to pay for whatever money we have invested in, right?
Yeah,
So do you want me to add up
I don't want any
Aspen's
more.
Yes.
hours and
yes,
just tell him?
yes.
I
this
certainly
is your
don't
fee?
want any more.
Okay, and he
I
can
think
pick them
that
up.
he should be able to go through Aspen from here on out though.
It'd be good on our part to know how much how many hours she's put in with this too, though, as well.
yeah,
Well, I think she'll tell Stephanie and she'll,
Like if I get that number tomorrow, I can tell that guy, work with Aspen and report back to you guys.
And
the
if she
next meeting.
provided any food, we need the cost of that too.
It's,
yeah.
Okay,
we
you
have
got it.
food
Okay.
here, yeah,
It ought to be, what, 50 or so? I mean, I don't know,
Probably.
ballpark somewhere in there.
I'm sure.
It'd be less if she's only got 2 hours involved.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So I-
I will let them know. That's all I have.
I'm good with that. Everybody else is. Okay, thank you, Stephanie. Becky Frank, your turn. Please step forward. Completely. We want the public to see what you look like. Hey, Peter.
Turn the cameras off. Okay, right.
Yeah, well, when you're out and about in town, people will know who you are when you're.
Well, that's one of the first things I wanted to talk about was I need a vest or something that identifies me as working for the city. You guys have anything of that on hand?
Not on hand, but we can get you one.
We bought them before. Yeah.
Say City of Eskridge on them.
Get with Stephanie for a size.
And then, so there's two trees actually, but I only have a picture of one. It's hollow. It's up in some wires. You can see the wires going through it. Pass it around if you want. But there's actually two trees on that property. And you can see it's between the street and the sidewalk. I don't know whose responsibility that is.
What kind of wires are running through those trees? Telephone lines, electric lines? You know?
I think internet lines. I mean, is there such a thing? That's what they told me, but I don't think there's such a thing.
Your phone lines.
Which maybe they went, maybe they meant.
And internet lines usually are attached to
Where is that
telephone.
street?
Yeah.
That
See that,
is
please? Yeah, see that picture when you're done?
at down on 2nd Street from Deb.
Cable. Is
that it?
They've still got some
Yeah,
that's phone in the air, don't they?
That's the line.
Places.
I'm talking about. I don't see.
I know
the
they do it
line
more than
you
town.
where-
I guess
that
you'd know.
almost would appear to be electric.
That's
I think that
314 East First Street.
they would-
And there's two trees down there.
What was it again?
Get it off
314
of the- be safer for them to
First
do.
Street.
I'll look at Street View real quick if you're.
Becky, on these trees, or this tree with the lines,
Right.
I'm
you
sorry,
don't have any idea if it's electric line or anything
I
else,
don't
what it is.
but they're dangerous. No matter if they're in the lines or not, they're hollow. It's fallen down. I'm surprised it's still standing. There's two trees, and actually, I was told that that tree is not actually on that property at 314. It's the one next to it, but the other one is on that property, in front of that property. See, that's what I don't know. Is it the property owner? I mean, it's in between the sidewalk and the curb. Is it the city?
Right away,
Be on
right?
city easement, yeah.
So do I need to send you guys a letter?
No, the question is whether the code says about that, I think, 'cause it does talk about that.
That
City
Zeller's
can
across the
go
street.
in.
I don't want our
Yeah.
boys cutting the
Across
tree
the-
out.
Deb-
Across the street.
No,
Okay.
it's City Hall Energy, and they would come at least trim it back from the
I know
line.
that one.
If it's
I
ever
asked
used.
about
If it's
that.
ever- yeah.
That was
See if
on
Justin
Saturday.
can-
Evergy's is on the other side of the
Supposed to
street
be
there,
on the
south side.
Good point.
Okay. Did you see this picture, Justin?
Yeah, I couldn't really see the line in there.
I couldn't either. I was trying to find it.
It probably would.
I think it's right there, but I'm
I
not
guess I
sure.
should have
My
highlighted
eyes
it.
aren't great.
Oh, yeah, there it is, Justin.
It's up there.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Does that look like one of y'all's lines?
it's not. No, they're on the south side.
Will you cut it and see if it shocks you and then you'll know if it's hot? No.
You want me to clock out for that or stay on clock?
Assume it's hot.
Off the
You better
clock,
stay
please.
on.
Safety first.
Get you a piece of grass.
See if it fries.
Well, just you can feel current through the.
The whole tree is a blight to the neighborhood. That's it, right?
Take a car out.
It's,
Is it a diseased tree?
I would say rotten in the middle.
yeah, it's like
Because of
hollow.
disease. I don't know, I'm not an arborist. It's a doomed tree, Todd.
I will say there's another tree that's very similar. That's like taking up someone's sidewalk that we asked about. And I thought it was the
Just fits in
stated that
cedar.
it was the owner's responsibility.
That it fits in cedar.
I would think so. Owner mows grass right there.
Mhm.
I thought the city could go in if it's in their right of way and remove it.
It's
Just like
13,
when we trim trees for the school buses.
And I thought that was in reference to the sidewalk.
Okay.
you can order the owner to do it under 13301, even though it's in the right of way. If you don't think they're gonna do it, though, you might as well just cut to the chase and remove it.
That's what I want to do. What you just said. Well, there's two of them though.
Well, here it is, 13307. The city shall have authority to treat and remove any tree in this article, or to remove any dead tree as mentioned here, which is located within the limits of any public right of way within the city. The adjacent property owner shall not be responsible for the cost of treatment or removal of any such trees within the public right of way. And this expense shall be borne by the city at large.
What's the address of this location?
314 East First.
One of them, and then I don't have the address for the other tree. The other tree is on Nether's property.
So it'd be adjoining.
Mhm. I mean, you can't miss them. They're right there. So,
Anything else, Becky?
If we're
So
gonna go
then
in
the
and
solution
remove-
to this is,
Sounds like the city's got to remove it.
okay,
Mhm.
I think that we should let the people know that we're coming. Send them a courtesy letter and say, hey, you're gonna come clear that dangerous tree out.
I did talk to that person already.
Okay.
If you want me to send a letter, I will, but,
What was their response?
they were hoping it was the city's responsibility.
So they're good with it,
Mhm.
with that statement?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to make sure that that line is not electrical in nature in any way.
It's phone, it's got voltage on it. It's got 48 volts
It's a
DC on it.
live voltage going through there. I don't want our city guys cutting a tree down with that in there. Let's call Evergy and see if they'll come out and trim it.
That's something Evergy would say.
Probably won't.
I'm
They
sorry.
were on the south
Century
side of the
is
road.
phone.
Yeah.
Justin saying it's the phone line.
It's a phone line.
Yeah.
They call Century.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Or are they Brightspeed now? I don't know if that's
I
actually happening.
still get things
That's
in the
not
mail
till
from
October.
CenturyLink.
Okay. I'm sure they're really anxious to spend money on
I'm sure they are.
copper and maintenance.
Is this something I do or is this something you guys do?
I can call.
And then, so I found some old letters and I would like to not have to start over and just go off of, and I did visit with the property owner at 106 Mineral. They promised that they would start doing, abatement and taking care of it. So far, nothing's been done. So I promised them 30 days. So at the end of that 30 days, I would like to move forward with these letters that have already been sent out. One was in 2019 and one was in 2020. Is that all right?
Question?
Yeah. And I could do that with any properties that I find.
As long as the description in the letter matches what.
Well, and this last letter, and see, and that's where I don't know. I guess I just need to keep digging, or maybe you guys would have record of it. This is saying, City Council is requesting you to appear before the council at the next meeting on Monday, September 28th, 2020. I don't know if
She did,
did she.
who is this?
Yeah. I
And
remember
what
she
was
came in
decided?
there, but-
wasn't it? Is it
Was it?
Mona?
Yeah.
And she was to move her stuff behind the fence. And I thought she had complied, but maybe I'm wrong.
No,
Okay,
she did not.
maybe it's back out. I thought that you guys had.
Or she
we
got
left it-
more.
I'd have to go look at the minutes, but I thought we left it like.
But here's another
she came
thing.
in.
So for instance, so I was going through the codes
Probably minutes.
trying to decide which letter to send. And so, some of those codes state that they can basically, if it's behind a fence, it's okay. However, that still harbors pests and it's just still not good for the community. So I'm not sending out any of those letters that states that yards need to be cleaned up, junk hauled out, and so I don't know which letter she got, if that's okay. I don't think that's okay, just to hide your stuff behind a fence. I mean, I know I have to go by the code.
Is it
So maybe I
chain
should
link or
start-
is it like wood paneling? I don't know. I think there's a difference.
It's
somewhere, but
ski. Well, yeah, everybody has little collections.
Yeah.
You know, but when it takes up your whole backyard and you've got water collecting and weeds and trees growing up around it,
Yeah.
you know, that's a different story.
Yeah.
And we got stuff leaning up against our stuff, you know, garage or whatever. Everybody does. But I'm not. I guess I don't want to start all over with it.
Well, but that's the way you get tripped up on this is not giving somebody appropriate notice of the actual violation and giving them a chance to appear.
Well, they have had so. Okay.
We've got an order for abatement though. That's indefinite, is it not?
Well, it depends on what you guys did when it came up.
When she came to the council meeting.
Okay.
Article 5, Chapter 8, Code of Minimum Housing Code.
Agreement was made that she will have 2 vehicles advertised for sale. The third will be fixed so it's drivable, and the jet skis will be moved to the backyard within 30 days. October 28, 2020 is the date given the property owner to meet these requirements. So if the requirements weren't met, then
Unless she got more.
That's what.
Yeah.
It all looks really
Wondering.
familiar. It all
Yeah,
looks the
that's
same
true.
as in the past couple years.
Do we have pictures from?
I think you did.
That was in the meeting
Probably
packet.
in that big folder.
Okay,
I'm
I'll
sure I
look through
do.
some more.
I'll look through there.
Is there any record of a follow-up that was done?
I think this property and some of the other ones that she found were in limbo when you left the position the last time, and then Sally came in and nobody trained Sally, so she started from that point and knew nothing about following up on the other ones because nobody mentioned or said anything to Sally about it. And that's where Becky's coming up with these, was that interim there.
The ball kind of got dropped when we switched.
She did move some jet skis, but are there more back there now?
Yeah, those
I
are.
thought she did too.
And
I thought she moved stuff and we.
the last time I
Said-
remember
It's all
driving by
feedback.
it to look
It's
at
fine.
it, everything was
I've
good.
been by that property many times.
So she would need a new
Wasn't
notice.
That's
for
been
it.
a while.
There is
Yeah,
jet
she'll be
skis
back.
in the back behind the fence.
Yeah.
But then there's jet skis also.
All right. Yeah, she moved a lot of stuff into the backyard and put up that fence. And I don't think we did anything about it after that, except
I think we
she got
just,
rid of a car.
So I have to start over.
We had
It's not the
some-
answer I wanted.
All right. Lot
Job
better than finding out
security.
halfway through that you've done it wrong.
What's that?
It's better than going halfway through it and figuring out you gotta start over then.
Okay. So I have one property at 314 East First. I gave her more time to start working on it. If I don't see
Is it
progress.
10 days? Isn't that?
Well, they have 10 days, which would have been today. Today's Sunday, right? To remedy it or get a hearing. But
So are we doing a hearing?
I spoke with her, when was it, Friday?
Yeah.
And she asked for more time. So I said, as long as I'm seeing progress, we can move it out every couple weeks. But if there's no progress, then I'm gonna move forward.
If anybody has a big chainsaw, that would be great.
Becky, I think you were here when we had an issue where, excuse me, there was somebody that kept saying, as long as you see progress, am I good? Can we go forward that way? That guy waited 29 days to do any progress, and then he would do progress before the next meeting. Meeting after
Uh-huh.
meeting after meeting.
Mhm.
I don't want her to wait, or whoever this is. I don't
It
know who
does
this is.
state though in the code book that you're supposed to work with them and if they
Well,
ask.
I want to stress, I'm very much in favor of working with them. I don't want them to kick the can down the road as far as they possibly
Yeah,
can
me either.
and wait till the very last second to move one item and say, see, I'm working on it. If
Well,
that's the kind of progress that they're trying to
No,
provide,
significant progress. And I took pictures, so I'll know if there's progress. So that's where that one stands. At 212 Locust, they moved, there was 2 vehicles and there was overgrown weeds, trees growing up in the yard and,
What's this?
most of the grass has been mowed and one of the cars have been taken out. They can't find the keys.
Yeah.
For the other one, they asked for a little bit more time. They made a lot of progress. I don't know what I did with this one. It's a Focus. It is, sorry, 407 Cedar. Some grass has been mowed. There's still piles. And this is what I'm having a hard time getting people to understand. You can't just mow around your piles. And you can't just let trees and weeds and things grow up around everything and think that that's good. And I think it clearly states in the code describing that that's not okay. So, but they did not contact City Hall or me, and they didn't show up here tonight for a hearing or anything like that. So anyways, I'm gonna be sending them a letter moving forward with that. What steps do I take with you? Any?
I don't
Or
know.
at the
Yeah,
next
I don't
meeting?
know because I don't have the notice.
It's that they were supposed to
I mean, I've sent them this letter.
come into compliance or request a hearing.
Well, it's the code section that always determines what you do. Take 201. So, so this.
I mean,
Notice.
do we send another letter, or is it now?
Is that
It's
the
the
next step?
city.
That's the next step, right?
But the city goes and takes care of it, right?
No. I can either charge them in the municipal court. Alternative prosecution, public officer may seek. Present a resolution to the governing body for adoption, authorizing the public officer or other agents to abate the nuisance. And after passage, they'll be required to. So the next step is resolution, according to 8208, or prosecution. One of the two.
So
I've got-
basically,
Yeah, I got a resolution form for that. You should have.
yeah, I do.
All it does is it says,
It's a fancy motion.
Yeah. They basically get a letter that says you.
well, this resolution goes in front of this body and they approve it. And then if they don't correct it within the time period under this ordinance, then the city is authorized to go in and abate the nuisance, which means clean it up. So with this coming to the fore, you gotta have a method to clean it up, to abate it, meaning
It'd be the same as what we did when
I'll
we
show you
cleaned
the
up other
resolution.
properties then.
Okay.
We just,
city employees out there to,
with the dumpster and
yep, or whatever. Or mowers or whatever you do. Hire somebody to do it, whatever. That's what's next.
So at the next meeting, I bring. a
and then that's
resolution
assessed to their property
for
taxes.
you guys to go over.
Or it's assessed to them, and if they don't pay it, it can be put on as a special assessment to their taxes.
Okay.
You think that's it? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Stay right there for a second, Becky.
What?
I was telling her to stay right there because isn't she the one that would have went down and looked at this to approve it? For us to approve?
The fence?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I went
Lisa.
down there. It just lines up. I didn't see any property line marked or anything. So, it is just the same as their house. It's not going out past the house.
Yeah, it's within easement.
And since I don't have the proper tools to find a property pin, then I don't really know.
I don't know. I think there it is.
Do we
and some of
have-
their lot lines.
What kind of fence are they putting in?
A privacy fence?
How tall is it? 12 foot?
What is the height requirement?
Is that the height or is that
The
the?
length?
12 by 56 by 12 or something. I'm trying to find it again.
I don't know if there's any
And
restriction.
is there a
Oh, yes.
dimension?
12 by 54 by 12.
Are they
We
here?
looked for a code on building.
Do we
fence.
have, I did look for a code.
Yeah.
There's like fences not.
Yes, it's in the
Yeah.
Do you know where it's
county.
at?
I think it's in the county, but it's the limit of either 6 or 8 feet. I can't remember.
I was
Usual
thinking
limit
it
is-
was like,
County care though, I mean,
Yeah.
for rural areas that
Well,
they usually
when I
have.
say county, I mean Allen. We go by Allen's building code. That's what we've always defaulted to.
No, it's the county building zoning. County zoning regs is what, at one time, the city had adopted was the county zoning regs. Maybe
Well,
that's
this-
changed.
Probably
Well,
them calling.
it's the opposite because the
Okay.
county does all the zoning. You guys don't have any zoning. I'm trying to see if we got anything here, but
I might be wrong, but I feel like I remember that there was a height limit.
it might be in county.
I did too, because somebody that lived by the rodeo was wanting to put a fence up a few years ago and this came up.
So
I've
we're-
always heard 6 feet, but I've never seen it in writing.
Where do you find the information on that?
County's website would have it, where you could call up to the,
Yeah, but that's a.
Is that out of our,
It's out of our jurisdiction to determine. I think what you guys have always considered is the fact that this is just a structure. It's a determination whether they're on the lot lines or not.
6 foot
Encroach.
dog ear picket,
dog ear.
Dog ear.
dog ear.
Where's
It
that?
says
from?
6 foot. The
Where?
person who submitted the application. I texted them.
6 foot?
We've got 12 on
That's
the
what he
form, 12 by 54 by 12.
I move to approve.
I think we need to clarify the height of that fence.
I just don't.
He
wanna
just
go
texted
against it.
Stephanie.
But
Did
the
he
form
not?
says 12.
Say
It would be a step
conditional
up
on
as
being
well.
6 foot high.
I
Okay.
move to approve conditional on being 6 foot high.
I can get behind that.
Is he going all the way around it, all 4 sides?
3 sides.
3 sides,
Three.
one
His
side
house
is
is gonna
using
be
as a
one side.
house.
Yeah. Are we gonna skip a few things? We're gonna come back to that one.
We have to vote.
You need to.
I second.
Okay.
Made a motion, I second. We're ready to vote. No,
All right, that one is out of order on the list of the agenda. If we can approve it, Todd, then we'll go ahead and vote on it. Otherwise, we're gonna wait.
I think it's the next,
It's the next one.
unless there was
Well,
some
we skipped-
purchase requests that I don't know about.
Well, Lisa's got a comment she's gonna throw in there.
That it wasn't put on the agenda, so.
Okay, all right. Okay, got a motion on the floor to approve the application for a fence permit for Allen's at 506 South Main on the condition that it's not exceeding 6 foot in height. And that motion was made by Brett, seconded by Michelle. Is there any further discussion on this? Those in favor? Opposed is none. Pass it 4-0. All right, let's move on then. 20 North Shore Drive, building permit. Erickson.
So we tabled this, didn't we? No,
No, this is the first time that this is being presented.
This is for a cabin, right?
It's for a barrack.
for a barrack, in addition to a barrack.
Okay.
Robin, I believe, has information for us.
I do. Mike Bone had gone out and looked, and he said it was okay as far as water goes. Now, electric and sewer, I'm not real sure. I have pictures. There's some stuff on that side of the house, but I'm not sure it would matter to us. Who wants to look first?
Show Justin.
Electric, I don't know where they're buried.
Well, and then
I mean, they would just have to put in a roll call, right?
it's that sewer, and then all up and
Okay.
on down here. And then there's more up this side there. I don't know if that's something they can move.
I'm not sure that's.
Tim, you want to hand that to Tim?
Is it this one?
Right. No, you, yeah.
Okay. Not sure.
Are they making their cabin
Yeah.
bigger with living space? Is that what they're putting on that side?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
7 by 24, which is what we allow, right? We allow that much addition.
Can never find that.
Yeah.
Robin
really
said
know.
she could never find the ordinance that pertains
I
to
don't know if
barracks
there is.
to read up anything on it.
Yeah, I don't think there is.
I don't think there is either. We've had people do it, right?
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
don't think there's an ordinance.
No, Fredericks did it, but
Mhm.
What was their width? Because I was thinking it was about that. I mean, each barrack is 24 feet long, so that's how long it's going to be. But there's only 20 feet between each barracks with no additions on barracks. So if you see what I'm getting at, where's the
How close are they gonna be?
right? How close do we want them to be? Touching to where you can't go between them anymore?
No party
Or-
wall. I'm not.
no.
I mean, I'm fine with the 7 by 24 because I went out there and looked and I measured the same from the other barrack if they wanted to add on the same amount, and there was still like a 4 or 5 foot space in between the two of them.
Was that only an issue though if they expand in both
Mhm.
directions?
Mhm.
And then, so.
I move to approve.
No, I'll second.
We have a motion to approve the structure permit for Erickson, 25, number 20 North Shore Drive by Brett and seconded by Justin. Any further discussion?
Terry,
Yes, sir.
if David Needfeld at LWID has not given his blessing on the sewer, I'd recommend you do that. Not only where the sewer line goes, but it can't be too close to the pit or he can't service the pit.
I mean, I can talk to David tomorrow.
I'm still gonna move to approve with that
Condition.
condition.
It's not too close to the.
I'm gonna check there real quick.
Well, each unit has a sewer pit and there's a pump in there,
Okay.
and David has to be able to access that pit. And you don't want to.
I wonder if he would have looked at the Breeden Frederick that we just passed and they did.
If you didn't have about a
Okay,
2
so
foot
it's-
diameter.
Because
You would think that they would,
Flat cover.
isn't that the owner's responsibility?
that's the owner's responsibility to check the
He's got the
utilities.
sewer
Right.
responsibility.
I mean, they would have to do 811. They would have to call 811, and then all the utility companies would have to come out and mark lines.
Well,
So
knowing where it's buried is one thing, but giving the guy room to service it is another. So, but
Yeah, I have to go back out and look.
Yes, for the electric, the transformer's on the outside of the barracks, although I think they're on the,
And I think other electric is above. I don't think there's any buried electric.
yeah, okay.
There may be, I don't.
Oh, yeah, there might be. I can't tell. I can't see services on here.
Hmm. I don't know if it's gonna help here though. That's on the front of their house and it
Okay.
runs up.
Okay. Or the weatherhead, probably. Yeah,
Anyway,
makes sense. Yep, it would be overhead, definitely.
So that's the white PVC pipe sticking up. Is that sewer?
Probably. Could a vent, maybe? If it's sticking clear up there or going up the
Yeah,
house,
like
that's what you're talking about?
12
Oh,
inches
then there's that one.
or so.
Yeah. Maybe like a clean out or something.
I mean, do you just
Yeah,
want me to call her and tell her to check
That's,
with LWID first?
I mean, you can, I really
Yeah.
still think it's not your guys' issue.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I thought from the
Well, I
beginning.
mean-
I think that we can approve it. And that's
Then
I
that's
mean,
on
if
her.
they've got an easement, and if they've got the rights to the clean out in a certain area, they can tell them to tear it down.
So should I adjust my motion to move to approve for the north side? Because that's what she's adding on to is the north side property, because the south side is where the water lines and meters run. So she definitely can't go on that side.
I don't know that there's any, is this, from the map, I don't know that there was a distinction between the drawing. It says add on to the north side of the cabin. So that's all what you're approving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I remove.
It's just a move to approve, right? No.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All right. We have a motion to approve the permit for Erickson by Brett, seconded by Justin. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Opposed? Okay, passes 4-0. Okay, the next one will be Miller's.
Yeah, Miller's. Okay, he just wants to take out his old dock and put in a new one. And it says here that it will extend 3 foot north of the existing dock. And the existing dock already measures 24 foot, so that would put it up to 27, making it a,
So he has a standard dock right now.
that's what,
That's what he's
We-
being charged for is a standard
Correct,
dock,
but
but doesn't measure that.
no.
It exceeds that.
Exceeds
Can I
it,
jump in?
yes. Sure.
That dock, it's still gonna be 20 by 24, the new dock, but it's just gonna be 3 feet farther into the water than the existing. The dock is not getting bigger. That's just a reference. It's just gonna go out in the water 3 feet.
Okay,
It's still 20 by 24.
okay,
That's what that designation is. So that's my
gotcha.
fault. if I
So then
wasn't
you're-
clear on that.
Well, that's the way I took it.
Yeah.
But,
So you'll take it down the
But-
5 inches that it's over or whatever already? Cause it's
Yeah.
It'll be
oversized
20.
right
One
now.
side is like 23.3 and then it's got this little wonky jog in it. It'll be squared up rectangle,
okay.
20 by 24. With
'Cause
no
what
boats.
were the measurements of it?
23.3 by 24.
No, I measured 20 foot 2 inches by 24.
Okay, I'm sorry, this is 20.
By 24 what?
Well, I can get behind the fact that he says he's gonna square it up and make it 20 by 24. My question is, if it goes 3 feet farther out into the drink, is it gonna stick out farther than all the other docks?
It will stick out farther than the boathouse to the west, which is a red boat shed, but it will not stick out farther than the boat house or dock, which I believe is Judge Carter's to the east. It'll be in between there,
Is
but it will
Judge
stick
Carter's
out
dock
farther than the red one.
Judge Carter's dock beside it?
It's 40 feet away. It's
But it's the next one
But
over?
it's the next
It's the
one.
next one over, yeah.
Yeah, I got,
Okay.
he's got it all here on the
Yeah.
dimensions.
Yeah, here's a picture, so to speak.
I'll tell you where it's relative. Yeah,
I move to approve.
second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the structure permit for Miller's at 417 East Flint Hills Road, and by Tim, seconded by Justin. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Passes 4-0.
Thank you very much for showing up. I think we would have had to table it had you not been here.
No, I'm glad I did. Thanks.
Okay, next on the agenda is continuing business, 241 Flint Hills Drive, Pine. That's you in it, Kathy?
Yes, and I believe we were tabled last time because you didn't have time to go out and look at it before,
That's correct.
so. I don't know if you wanna start with your visit first and then.
Yeah, I wasn't actually here. Brett took care of that, so I'm gonna let Brett speak on it.
I can jump in too if you need.
Okay,
You're the one doing the construction work, right?
Yeah.
And your name is Eric.
Eric with Rempro. I built quite a few docks out there, so I actually lived on the lake for a few years, but
I appreciate the person doing the construction work coming in, that's for sure. 'Cause it certainly will give us a firsthand answer if we have questions for it. Your opinion, Brad?
So was anybody from the last meeting, was anybody able to go out and look at this property? I'm just curious.
No.
So our ordinance says 2 docks, you can't modify. If you have 2 docks, you cannot modify either one of them. You can only modify them if you have 1 dock. So in this plan right here, they have 2 docks. They're going to be removing 1 dock and putting in what is said to be a deck. However, the deck goes over the water, and to me, that's a dock. And you can come up and show me if you would for a minute, because according to the plans, how I'm looking at it right here,
Right.
this dock is going to be removed, and this is going to be put in its place. And so this is the foot frame of all of that that's going to be added.
Correct. And this here, this is the existing storage shed that they have there.
Brett, move your left hand.
You step out of it, and I've got some drawings. Yeah, I guess you guys have them all.
Yeah.
But so the pines, if they step out of their garage door, they step into the water. Not real convenient. I get your rules, and I'm not here to dispute that. But like this dock here, I agree with you. It is a dock, but in essence, it's really a walkway. It's just, no offense, Kathy, but it's kind of worthless. No offense, but it just doesn't work. It's a walkway. I will give it that. Then it is over the water, is a dock. So we were thinking, when I drew this up.
Are you paying for 2 docks?
Yes.
Okay.
So the reason I drew this up myself, so if it's bad or wrong, I apologize, but we were thought about taking this walkway, get rid of it, because it's going to this dock. And then you got this open void, and you're going to a walkway out to what Brett calls a dock, or I mean, it's not arguing, but so you have these. Anyway, so take the square footage off of that, take the square footage off of this little runway going to the existing dock, and square that up. And I would be willing to bet that the Pines could probably give up this and figure out something there coming off the storage shed where the garage door is, and just basically square this off. I guess you guys would call that just oversized. You still have to pay for 2. I don't know how that works with the billing, but anyway, if that helped, I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted the clarification on this. So the problem for me is that we say that you have 2 docks and we don't allow any modifications to any docks. This here is adding a deck that is 3/4 over the water that's connecting to the other deck, which is a modification, which is what we don't allow with 2 docks. So going off what we have in our records and what we allow in black and white.
Well, another thing, I'll just jump in. This is they're giving up that space and incorporating it into this space. So
Or basically,
They can't,
But the
they
rules
can't,
are you can't modify either one. If,
but
sorry.
if you
but if
have
we're
to.
willing to
Right.
give up a dock and go to 1 dock, we can't make changes to the 1 dock.
You can if you actually are going down to only 1 dock.
Which is what we're trying to do.
well, you're
I've seen
but you're pushing
rules.
the definition of
being
one dock.
oversized.
Well, you're building a structure over the water. Now, whether you call it a dock or you call it a deck, it's
Well, the 2
Right.
issues for me is that it goes over the water and that it's connected to the other docks. So they're connecting that to the dock that they're keeping as well, which adds square footage to that dock all the way down more as well.
Would it be sufficient if a person was to go out and measure, and I could meet somebody and whatever square footage they're giving up to square it up?
No,
Does that work?
you can't think of this as square foot
Okay.
exchange because it's not. It's you got a dock that shouldn't be there technically. That whole dock is a 0. I mean, the second dock does not grant you anything, and should this body decide to do that, it could take till everybody their second dock is gone without anything. So, I mean, I think the council will decide ultimately. I think that probably the way to do this perhaps is to build a walkway from the dock you want to keep to the shoreline, and perhaps some kind of walkway, just a walkway about 4 feet or so around to that shed, but it's not going to be over the water. It's going to be on the shoreline. If that can be done.
Your shoreline out there would be half and half because the water, there's just not enough. But anyway, I see what you mean. But
And I see what they're doing here, and they have a very short space of shoreline there
Yes,
to be
it's-
working with. But
it's not user friendly, put it that way. So I'm just
And
trying to.
it's congested, it
It
is.
is.
And I felt like when we read through the ordinance said something about 20 feet of shoreline, and we're not changing our shoreline. We're not changing the access point. The access point is still the same distance. All we're doing is going from the dock that has the boat slip to the boathouse that we didn't place. We bought it all this way only 10 months ago. So
Oh, really?
we didn't do any of this. We're trying to make it more usable for our family because right now that walkway, I call it a walkway instead of a dock because literally it's like 4 feet wide. And if people are out there to be a part of the conversations, they're sitting one behind the other. There's not enough room for 2 people to sit next to each other and for anybody to get in the water. So we're really trying to make it, I guess, more accessible for the people that are with us. The dock that is a part of the boathouse right now isn't really accessible either because the boathouse and the boat slip are 2 separate areas, and the dock that is part of the boat slip is on the other side of the slip. So it's not adjacent to the boathouse where all of our things that we keep in the boathouse are available. Our people are taking them in and out of the water. And right now, like you said, we open up that garage door, we have to walk into the water.
Well, I was
get our
out there to
toys
measure
in the
it, so I
water.
know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just really
You're in the water,
in the water.
in the water.
That's what they have
And
now.
I
Is it
believe,
not feasible?
did you have plans on taking that old iron?
Yes, that's part of,
Where's
he's
your other-
demoing that piece.
Awesome.
And then also on the property, there's a fire pit.
Is it feasible
That's
to
not
turn
ours.
this?
I believe that's our
Which is
neighbors,
above
where it sits in between
Yeah, I
us.
guess what
We
Brett's
haven't
saying.
used it.
I couldn't hear.
Cause that is classified, just
As
for
far
your
as if they keep
knowledge, that is
this.
classified as a structure
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that would be charged
If
and
they keep
billed to
this, allow a
somebody.
sidewalk.
Oh, well, it's,
Whether it's wood or.
we don't think it's ours. We haven't used it. There was some debris in that fire pit earlier this spring and we went back like over Labor Day
Yeah,
weekend.
this is where this is
It
remade.
was burnt.
Yes,
But
this
we
one
didn't do
goes.
it.
Then from here to there makes it way too long. But
Yeah.
Do you know, is that on your,
Goes, is there
is that on her
something
property
Yes.
line, the
all the way
carpet, you
over
know?
here, so it encompasses over all
Is
of
it on
that.
your property, or do you know?
They could do something
I would
right
need to
here.
look.
But like I said, it would be
When we bought it
4
from
or 5
Jeanette,
foot
she
wide.
didn't say anything about that being ours,
supposed to be
so we
4, right?
assumed it was the
And
neighbors.
I think it's just rocks around there.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you were saying if they got rid of this altogether, then this could only stay 24, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, well, they're not changing that.
Well, I know, but.
Well, I'm gonna step out. I hope Kathy doesn't kill me, but would it be feasible? And I'm just asking. They're gonna tear out. They're gonna demo this here and made this even with that. I mean, look how much she's going to give up out of lake water to make that even with the existing across there. Is that even remotely?
That's
Hopefully,
not
it's
what
sorry,
it's about.
Kathy.
Yeah, it's not.
Is that?
That's not what it's about.
It's not okay.
Yeah, it's.
I
It
understand.
just would clean up. She'd be
Understand.
giving up quite a bit of the
We get it.
that sticks out there. So okay.
We can see the argument, yeah. Don't get me wrong.
so I guess I'm going back to my question. If we demoed dock, we'll call that dock 2, that's by the boathouse, but walkway. If we demoed that, then we're down to 1 dock, but you're saying I can't modify that dock if I only have one?
If you have
Absolutely.
one
We
dock
only have
that's
one.
within the 24 by 20, you can modify it any way you want to stay inside that 24 by 20 and
By
no
12.
by 12 foot tall.
Which I don't think it's 20 by 24. I think
If you
it's
have
all-
one dock,
Yeah.
honestly, from my perspective, just mine, if you have only one dock, I want you to make that thing have bells and whistles and as beautiful as you can within 20 by 24 by 12 foot. Knock yourself out.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, it's 19 by 23 and only 8.5 foot tall.
My question is, I don't, maybe you've answered this and I didn't hear it. I'm sorry if you did, but in the older drawing where you have your, it says concrete steps, can you see what I'm pointing at here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Eric.
Where you have the
drew this, so-
walkway that goes down to the shed, can you just use that walkway from the concrete steps to the shed? Eliminate the old dilapidated, skinny, dangerous, whatever, and then blow up the good dock, like build it up, whatever. I mean, is that pathway from the concrete steps to the storage shed? Can you redo that if it needs to be? I mean, well, can you make that to where it's not above
The
water?
door is,
The door is here.
the door's there, so they have to get down in the water to access.
So what you really need is this. If you don't do the dock, that or something that can be a little bit over.
And I would be
Oh, my.
amicable to calling that a deck.
I was thinking you meant entry door, not an overhead door.
That would at least
I was
allow them
thinking
to
an entry
access
door
the
too.
Dang.
four sides of the shed and alleviate that problem.
See, that's the main problem, see?
I see that now.
And
Because
then
it was
at
a
that
boat
point, they
house
could
that had a
go
lift in there.
go
If they
4
lifted
foot on
it
that
up and
walkway.
it would pull the boat in for
to their
winter
20 by
storage,
24 dock.
and let it back out. That's why it's next to the water.
So you get more room that way.
That's 4 foot. I'm sorry, Justin. Can you please repeat what you were saying?
Well, I said I would be amicable to calling that a deck. I mean, if you're over the shoreline, right there on the, right there by your storage shed, at least that would alleviate the problem of being able to get in and out of it.
Given the fact that we are losing all this, as many times as we told him that's not what it's about,
Well, I mean,
I would probably be leaning towards approving that also.
yeah.
I mean, when 80% of it is above the soil right there,
Yeah.
if in fact that is correct.
From the picture.
We have the picture too to get a better, but. So you're saying coming down if I heard you right, come down the concrete existing stairs and get on that deck, could modify the deck.
Will you come
Or
up here,
the-
please?
sorry.
What's your name?
Eric.
Eric,
Sorry.
would you look at this, please?
Yeah, what we're talking about is this all goes away. And then you just build, I don't know how far this is, but you would have room to put something like that. And that's gonna be a walkway / deck. It's not gonna be a dock because it's technically,
And then this would just all go bye-bye.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys would be able to, maybe 6 foot out in front of the storage
Sure.
shed.
I think that's a pretty simple.
How wide are our sidewalks?
4
foot.
I mean, you're basically,
Yeah, but I
Carrying
want them to
some
be able to
power.
act, exactly. I want to be able to actually be usable and access and not have to worry about falling into the lake or something like that. So
yeah,
I think 6.
yeah, I think that's reasonable.
So how can we make this like a special case situation?
Because you
So
guys
that we
have
don't
got
get
special.
a ton of applications from other people wanting walkways over the water.
And what we're talking about.
Well, you're not required to be consistent. This
That's
is a
where
matter
we're
of
talking
discretion.
about.
And our goal is for people who have 2 dogs
So we're
to
talking
eliminate
about
one, and we're accomplishing
Making
that.
this
This-
walk.
Since I've been on this council a couple of years, I don't know, have you ever seen somebody eliminate a dog?
Yeah,
Only
I
had
think
2?
I have actually.
You're
Yeah,
eliminating
but
a dock and
it's
you're
rare.
eliminating some underground
Like,
Dangerous.
things.
Yeah.
So I think you guys are getting
right,
something.
6
I
feet.
think we're getting
If
a
somebody
bargain.
comes in and
They're
destroys
also
another
along the
And
shoreline,
only-
whatever deck walkway you
only
have, there has to
takes
be an
15
opening
days.
so that any travelers along the shoreline can get through that.
Work.
Right now, the steps all the way down
So,
don't have a break in
yeah.
it. The only break goes over like a water thing that you would have to step over, which isn't gonna, it needs to have a clear path through there. So
Just
that
for access,
Yeah,
emergency, anything, just.
anybody that wants to fish along the shoreline can walk along the shoreline at any point along that shoreline and they need to be.
Not that they would, but I get it.
And I want to stress,
It happens a lot. It just happened a couple weeks ago, and people that own the property yelled and screamed at the people that it was their property. And obviously, it's not, but we do require that break in there for people to access.
not a
through there.
gate that opens and closes, but an open.
Well, without, I'm not trying to speak for Kathy here. So if we came out here 6 foot, just so everybody can see, come over here. And then angle over, can this be 6 foot here? So it's all symmetrical? Because otherwise you still have this walkway. I get it. And we're going to leave that walkway there to this dock. But come out 6 foot over and then at some point come down, angle at 6 foot. I just told him 6 foot out from here, come over and then angle to where
We can get in front of the boat.
you get in front of the boat
Okay.
storage.
Okay.
And that way you're not going from a 6 foot to a 4 foot back to a 6 foot.
But
You know,
Eric,
make it look.
Eric, when you get away from the shed, that's gonna be above land, right?
Say that one more time.
Once you get away from the corner of the shed, that's gonna be above the land as much as possible.
Yes, but it
So
will be.
this right here is gonna be above the land as much as possible.
Yes, but it will be over the water. I'm
A
not
A
little
like
little
it.
bit.
A
yeah,
little
right
bit,
here.
yes.
But I definitely want it to look like you gave every cut and pick and
Absolutely,
effort
absolutely.
to get away from the water and above the land.
Yep.
And then there will be a deck fee instead of a dock fee.
Okay.
Which I think is the
It's
same,
the same.
amount.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the one thing we were asking Eric on this is because of our elderly parents that are trying to be a part of our life down here at the lake. Right now, when you get down to the last concrete step, you take a step down onto a walkway and then a step down over here and a step down over there. So we're asking him to make that all one level.
It'll all be on one plane, so it'll be none of that 4 foot.
So we will be tearing out the piece that's there that you're allowing us to keep that walkway, but he's tearing that out to make it all the same level.
Okay.
Just didn't want you to think we were doing something different.
I appreciate everything. Being
Sounds-
clear.
This looks good to me.
I will concede my opinion and move to approve.
Well,
Second.
with that, those changes, are we clear on the record what those changes are?
Yes.
Can we, I guess I was wondering if we could submit a corrected drawing of some kind for,
Well, I can, when
Can
would
you
you
just
you
draw
guys
it
meet?
with a colored marker right now? And then
Well,
we'll
we can
approve
do
it.
that too.
Copy.
I know what my parameters are. The shed is 6 foot out, come over and give that 6 foot out. This will come out 6 foot, and then at some magic point out here, I'm gonna say that it's 6 foot it really should be 6 foot over, 6 foot out, that magic point there, and then that goes over to here to where this 6 foot makes a 45.
I agree with that.
It'll be over the water a tick, but it'll be mostly over the land there, but I'm kind of tied of what I can do with what's there.
I think that's fine if you guys are good with it.
I'm good with
I'm
it.
good with it.
Okay.
We've got a motion and a second.
You're the second?
Yeah, I'm the
Okay.
second.
Okay, thank you.
We gotta approve it. Okay, so we have all right, we have a motion to approve the structure permit for Hines, 4241 West Flint Hills Drive, and seconded. Motion by Brett, seconded by Michelle. Any further discussion? Those in favor? It's approved, Eric and Kathy.
Thank you very much.
When I was out there, I didn't pay attention or look because I forgot, but you're supposed to have the numbers that face on your dock that faces the water and faces the shoreline so that somebody can see your number from either vantage point. I don't know. It could already have it. Like I said, I didn't.
Whatever numbers are there, Jeanette had put there, we
Okay.
have done nothing.
Just make
So-
sure it's not a wooden number on a wooden dock.
Right.
You can see
Oh,
it.
like on the dock or on the buildings?
On the dock.
Somewhere so that you can see it from the water side,
Okay.
and if somebody's walking along
Okay,
the shore,
yeah,
they can
I
still
don't know
see.
that there are numbers on our dock. I know they're on the buildings.
That is a requirement now. So I just.
Okay, thank you.
All right, dock ordinance draft next on the agenda.
Because you left this was given to you guys so that you can give me more changes, additions.
kind of disappointed in myself that I didn't know that this was on here and they had
I've only emailed it to you guys like 3 times.
Well, you can, I mean, you can table it again
So-
if you want, but I mean, that's call.
What we added, so tell us again what we added.
Well, what you've added, I've added on there in the first, if you look at the first page, paragraph A, pretty much the last half of that is about how people have to sign that they have seen the rules and regs and
Review current,
they, they're gonna comply with those. I think the next page on G, a lot of that's added, basically, that, you know, if you buy a property, you're taking it as it is, all the structures on it are the structures you bought, you can't come in and say, well, when I bought it, they didn't tell me that those 3 things were mine or whatever. So, and basically you can't just disavow anything. I can't remember if I just changed some stuff on H. I don't think it was significantly changed. 2014 was a correction, technical correction, because it referenced a wrong other section that said, basically, it would allow you to actually penalize people for not having a boat permit.
So,
And then the other one is changes to 1220.
so there's like violations here. It reads, sections 12-209 to 12-213 shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor and upon conviction shall be punished by a fine not to exceed $100.
Yeah.
Can we raise that to something like 1,000 or 1,500?
Well, the only
I mean,
limit.
$100 is a slap on the wrist.
Okay, well,
not even.
I think the only upper limit on that is that I think by state law, any penalty over $1,000 is automatically considered a felony offense. I think you can raise it a bit.
To 900?
Sure. It says not
Or
to exceed.
not to exceed
Not- yeah,
You can always, you can
1,999.
always negotiate lower.
What offense is this that you're?
People have all the boats or kayaks
I
or
could change
whatever,
it
and they
to
don't,
$900.
They don't
they
register.
don't register them.
What you
Trespassing.
guys were talking about last time. Okay.
I'll put 900 down. That's money.
Okay.
Doesn't mean that we have to charge them 900.
I would.
Well, by the
Yeah,
time you get
there
court
you go.
costs, I mean, that, I don't know what we charge for court costs. I'm sure it's. over
So
$100.
it's 900. Is there anything else for that? Like, do they have like a period where they're
Well, what I can do is,
Is that 900 each vote or just of each offense?
That's a good
per
question.
offense?
it's each offense, and I can create pretty much anything I want as a probationary rule. Meaning, if we convict somebody of having a boat that doesn't have a permit on it, I could, as a probation, say for 6 months you can't have a boat on the lake, or you've got to, or you, whatever the case may be. You know, I can do some probationary stuff.
March to September.
As long as it's 6 months, not more than 6 months, I can do some things. And that this incorporates more than just boat permits. This is other things. So I still have that flexibility.
Is it understood or does it need to be stated for each?
It's understood for each offense.
All right, each offense, is that each vote is an offense? Or
Yes.
just the action? So you're
If you
talking
are,
like
if
3
if
votes.
they
you're
catch
talking-
you, they catch you on Friday in the boat without a permit, and they give you, they say that's a violation, they send it to me, that's number 1. If they catch you on Saturday, it's number 2.
Same boat.
Same boat,
What about
different
3
boat.
kayaks on the dock? Is that 3 offenses?
Unregistered. That's an offense to me because
Maybe.
it's on
That's
our
3
shoreline or on our water, either or.
So if it is on the shoreline, that is considered. Or in the house or anything else.
Now, if it's up on their front porch, that's a different story.
Because
That's
it's
their
on their
private property.
Right.
On our property?
Is that going to be your question, Robin?
So if somebody gets in their boat after they've rented an Airbnb and kayaks over to the swimming area, and it doesn't have a permit on it because the person who was running the Airbnb didn't tell me it had to have it, or the person who wanted the Airbnb had it and didn't permit it. What's the cause of action there then? I
That
mean,
would be a fine to the property owner that has the Airbnb, correct?
They own the boat.
Then they can't
Not their
provide
guests.
the
Exactly.
Let's play around with this though. Let's say I rented one of those places and I brought my own kayak. Now what?
It's the owner's responsibility to make sure that you've read all the rules.
It is.
And to make sure that nothing in offense is on his property. So it's still his.
But somewhere along the line, when I rented it, I signed a piece of paper stating I will follow those rules. That's a rule of the Airbnbs.
Well, I mean, we're not, but that's just it. We're not gonna assert any rights against an individual who's not an owner of property.
Well, wait, the Airbnb guy should be fined, absolutely, because they've been really good about telling people to come over and get fishing permits and stuff. But I don't know that they've followed through on that.
So you go spend your money, but I'm not going to spend my money for you to get there on my kayak.
Right.
Got it.
It ain't perfect, but what is?
I think personally, the Airbnb owners should be fined. If they don't have that information in their thing saying that you needed a fishing permit, or that you need a kayak permit, that you cannot put paddle boats or paddle boards, whatever it is, on the lake without having a permit on it,
I mean,
The
saying it like that, I
Airbnb
think they
should be
both
allowed.
should be fined. The Airbnb and the person, because everybody has to have a permit whether you're staying at a house or not, right? So if you're breaking the offense as a
Yeah, I
renter,
think,
you're still breaking it.
yeah, I don't have any problem with either of those, both of them.
the ones that I thought you did not know that they were supposed to have.
Only because they signed the rules without reading them.
I got a
Well,
ticket and
or
I
it
didn't
wasn't
know it
in
was
the
45 and
Or what?
So
Or it wasn't in the
Darn
rules.
it.
didn't help me
It
out.
is in the rules.
It was consistently the same person. Airbnb.
Ignorance is no excuse.
But I
for
helped
breaking
create the
the
rules that they are supposed to give to each tenant that rents. I know what the.
I'd love to see that.
How many Airbnbs do we have at the lake?
10?
10. Richard, is there a county ordinance on the number of B&Bs that can be at Lake
It was
Wabunsee?
10.
Limit of 10, there's 9 right now. So there is one available.
I knew there's a limit, I just didn't know if
It's
10 was the.
Who dropped out?
Buffalo Spirit just told me.
No, that fell through.
Oh,
Wild Olives. They had a short-term rental permit, realized they were in a commercial zone, so they didn't need.
I was gonna say, I've only ever had 10 or 9 on my list
Yeah, there's 9 right
that
now.
I
I was
filled
counting-
out.
I was counting that. I didn't realize
Oh.
that.
Is the wait
That's
list
probably
10
why they
miles
were not
long or
on
not?
No, the,
We had one that came up and got denied because they hadn't owned the property for 2 years. But I don't know if there's any more in the wings or not.
Okay.
the,
That kind of
the
surprised me.
guidelines are pretty hard to
They are.
accomplish
Okay.
intentionally,
By
so.
design, yeah, I'm sure.
You mean
Absolutely.
the county guidelines? County guidelines are.
Yeah.
They're, yeah.
Well, the county isn't who made the guidelines though. It was myself and a group of people from the lake.
The zoning and planning board uses those guidelines as reference.
And they're a tough bunch. I mean, seriously, those guys need to loosen up.
So does our contract?
Odd. The irony of hearing that from you.
Yep.
Does our-
And dripping with sarcasm.
Yeah, okay, well.
Okay, so is there anything else on this
Look,
ordinance that?
Yeah,
So I had something. We had added on there, they have to have survey also. But so how can we clean up, say Robin goes out to a property and it's a 50-50 that there's a structure that could be on our shoreline, but the property owner doesn't definitively know. She doesn't definitively know. is there a way that we can say like, if there is a dispute with property lines in any chargeable structure on city property, that the owner cannot prove 100% that their claim is true, that a survey must be had at the expense of the property owner to continue the lease with the city? Because how would we know then? Then it's gonna go, he said, she said, and
Okay,
it could be on our
back
property.
up here. So we don't have a survey or something,
Right.
Right,
but they're not selling it, so we don't force it.
right.
But there's that shed that's been there for umpteen years.
And you don't have any record of them paying anything.
Right.
Right.
And Robin's out there because they want a structure permit for something, and she sees this and she's like, I really think that really could be on city property. The owner can't provide any information to 100% negate that. So now we're sitting in a standstill limbo, and instead of costing us money to figure out what it is, they're the ones with structures on our property. So how do we go about?
Well,
What
somebody,
if it is on there?
well, here,
Of course.
We pay for a survey, and if it's on our property, then they owe us for the survey. If it's on their property, we bought a survey and a story.
well, but in both scenarios, they're claiming the use of this building, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. We just don't know if it's on our property fully or not. And basically, if it's on our property at all,
Right.
2 feet, they owe us a structure fee.
Correct.
Or 5 inches.
4 inches.
Okay, so they're claiming ownership, they clearly claim ownership of it, the use of it. It's just a question of whether it's on, we don't know. And you're saying basically,
It's
Then
basically down, they don't want to, I'm just going to say, they don't want to pay a structure fee because they're thinking that it's not on theirs. They don't know, they can't prove it. She thinks that there's a possibility that it could be, and that the city needs to be getting compensated for that structure on our shoreline. So how do you solve that dispute without causing us money? And the only reason why I want to put it back on them is because they're the ones coming to us. We don't come to them, they come to us. So they want to come put stuff on the shoreline on our property or docks or whatever. It's not vice versa.
so it's conditional if
It's
they
their
want something else.
choice.
I hope that
Yeah,
that's
the
not
city.
the only case where they're coming to us, because I think that's going to come up many times, isn't it?
What?
Where she's going to say, I don't know whose property that's on. Is it on city or is it on their property? Even if they're not saying, hey, I want to build
Right.
whatever,
Right.
she's still going to stumble into that, regardless of whether or not they're coming to us.
So this
Is there not a map that shows the city's boundaries around the lake?
they're
It's questionable at best.
yeah.
And that's what the county says. That's why we have to have a physical map like the ones that Mr. Martinick gave us that shows
Yeah.
the aerial, has everything, the fence, the sidewalk, the doghouse even, and also has the pins there so that we absolutely know exactly.
That's why
everything.
we require the survey when you transfer doc. Because in time, we'll have that line, but right
But in
now,
the interim, there's a lot of time there that this is gonna be coming up, and what do we do?
can
Does
we,
the city continue
can
to
we do
miss
like I
out? Because I'm
suggested?
sure half of the properties are and half of them are gonna turn out not. But how do we get ahead here?
Build a house on property.
Well, I mean,
Exactly.
you can't,
People put sheds of the leaves all the time.
I mean, I can't guarantee you that you're not getting the bad end of that deal, right? I mean, you're surveying properties, and if on the die roll, if more than half of them turn out to be on their property, you just paid for their survey.
Which we don't have to relinquish.
No, it'll be.
Well, let's be
But you
fair.
can say,
Yeah,
I mean,
they'll be able to use it.
it'll be public record from that point on.
Is it possible to get a record or photos? Bear with me while I get my thoughts together on this, of all the property lines at Lake Wabunsee.
yes, but it's off, so it's guaranteed.
What do you mean
It's off 5 to 10 foot.
Well,
The
there's
red
two
line,
things.
the map of the
There's two
county
things.
prints
to talk
out for you.
Hang on.
There is the county GIS map,
Okay.
which is available online. And they will tell you that that can be off as much as 5 feet or more.
So I'm thinking, not to interrupt you, but I'm going to.
Yeah.
I'm thinking along the lines of helping Robin out when she's out there doing surveys. If she has a booklet that has everybody's property on it, that tells her what the boundaries are, then she's gonna know when she gets out there, I can't walk past this point. I have to stay in this area here, which would also give her a rough idea of whether a property like he's talking about has a structure that's on ours or someone else's property.
Let me say the second thing
Okay.
is that the county has in its records, it has a plat of the various areas of surrounding the lake, an actual plat, which means it's located. It doesn't show anything on it as far as houses or anything like that. It just shows you lot dimensions
Right.
based upon the monuments that should be on there, just like any other property in the city. It's a lot easier in the city because everybody knows that they're squared out and everything like that. It's jumbled. So theoretically, we're saying that the map online and the electronic map is variable. That map in the Register of Deeds office should be correct. But you have to be able to go out there and find those pins and be able to understand, where those lines are drawn. So it's not like it's knowable. It's just more difficult in the sense that, if I was facing this problem, I owned a lot and I didn't know which way to go. My first step would be I'd go to the Register of Deeds, find out the lot size, and the best I could figure out from the pins and measurements where the lot lines are. And that'll have an accuracy level of probably 6 inches to a foot, if you can find all your monuments. And sometimes you can get help from other property lines,
So another suggestion then would be if from this point forward, every house will sell it there at some point. If then the survey that they're required to get at that time shows that during their interim of ownership, that was on our property, we can come back for those fees of that was on our property.
I'm not interested in that myself. I get where you're coming from. It'd be a great source of revenue, but I don't know. It seems like after the fact.
Well,
it's before the
you
fact.
You basically constructed something without a permit. What you're talking about is they had the survey done, nothing showed on there, and then in the interim, suddenly the shed shows up. Right?
Oh,
They didn't say they
that
didn't.
would be no, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm saying is all current owners right now say I have a house out there and I've owned it and there was a something in dispute, but we don't have anything in place, so it just was left in limbo because nobody can prove either or. And then it turns out they are saying no, but it turns out at the time when they sell their property and got the survey that we now require, they were wrong and it is on our property. They now owe us the back interim of fees for that.
Well, we have record of the discussion that took place before where everybody just kind of threw up their hands. That's kind of what you're saying. Yeah, that does kind of create a gray area to me. But
I guess the other gray area would be how far back would you charge them?
Yeah, I don't know how
their ownership.
Till we had the conversation.
Say what?
Yeah.
From when we had the conversation until they sold.
So you've got somebody out there that's been there for 25 years and they decide to sell their house. And we have no record of any structures on their property at all.
And we had a dispute claiming that we did, but they said we didn't. And there was no survey because they own the property and they didn't sell, so they hadn't had to require a survey.
So,
and turns out, oh yes, sir, it was.
So 10
and
years
they just
after
got
10 years after
Right.
they've lived there, the dispute came up. They say no, we say yes. They sell it 15 years later. We can only go back those first 15 years.
Yeah.
We can't.
And that
Yeah,
seems,
they-
that seems
that's
like
what we're asking.
Is that
That's
something,
that's
putting
possible.
something on?
3 years probably max.
That's what I would think too.
Even then, that's
Decide
kind of.
comes up, decide then.
I would prefer to have it in black and white, whatever we do. There's no debate about it
That's
at
what we're
that
talking
time.
about. Those are not,
It's clearly
That
stated
sounds like there
whatever.
would be a lot
well,
of
they're not bad.
I just hate trying to
I
stick
wouldn't
it to them all
seize
the
that.
way out.
They're not as
It
good
feels
as
like
flat
that.
map
See,
and
I
red
feel
sheets.
like
I don't think
going
that's
out
your
there
job
and
to do
seeing
that.
all the offenses that are on most properties that are out there, they're the ones taking advantage of us and getting one up on us. Absolutely.
There's a lot of advantage taken of the city.
Absolutely.
But I think
You
that's
know,
also,
I think that's, if you want to, I mean, if that really is the idea here, is that we're gonna go inventory, then I think you need to be conscientious about it and systematic, which means that you gotta pick a block at a
get
time
started and do it.
and actually, yeah, inventory it.
Robin has started that. That's why we
Yeah.
hired her. She
Yep.
started at the East Bridge, and she's working around now. So everybody will come up. So this is going to be coming up and being an issue, which is why I'm trying to get ahead of it.
Yeah, I think if we get down to it, then if we do find ones that are on the questionable side, then the question is then whether it's an offending structure, you know, it'd be subject to be removed. And again, that just basically means that it's 5 feet over on the property or whatever, 6 inches or whatever. So, and they're not moving it or whatever.
And
So-
and the new people that are buying it, I'm sure will have no
Well,
problem.
we're not talking about buying it. We're just saying you're out there inventorying the first 5 and you find one on there that has maybe on the lot line, we don't know. Then we can address that as an offending structure under the code already. You can say it's an offending structure. And they can say, no, it's not. It's all on my property. Well, then we get down to who proves what. And then I can say, okay, if I have to go to the municipal court and prove that this is a lot line, part of the fine is going to be inclusive of.
And see, this is what I'm
costs.
scared of is paying you all this money for one property to decide something. We're not even like, that's going to be costing us way too much money to be doing that.
That's part of the fine, though. Fine is you pay for the survey, pay the costs.
Yeah, unless they turn out to be right, and then it's all on us. And you're saying 1 of 5, but I'm saying it's more likely 5 of 5 of those are offending. So
So, I mean,
it's gonna
yeah.
quickly pile up to where there's a lot going on. And so what I'm saying is, if there's 242 houses out at the lake, I'm gonna boldly say 194 of them are in offense.
Well, if you were to tell me that, then I said the only rational, logical governance that you could do of that lake is that you stop everything and you go and have it surveyed yourself. Every one of those lots. And you get it all done. Every one of them. Because if it is about 50% of the people are sticking it to you, then that's the way you address it.
Well, here's my next question then. You come out, I'm a lake owner. I have 3 items that I'm not paying for that are on city property. Robin comes out and says, hey, Tim, those 3 things are on our property. Ooh, my bad. And I tear them out right away.
That's different.
Does that mean that I owe the city 0?
At that point,
Yeah, because it was discovered
yep,
and
Right.
taken care of.
yep.
And no, you don't.
Right.
If you want that fire pit and you decide you want it, that's fine. Move forward. If you don't, take it
There's
out.
no
If you
way
want to
how
take the
could you
patio
go
out,
back
take
and
it out.
Say like, oh, it was constructed at this date, or this
John, back in the day when we were selling those lots and stuff, the county came out and made plots. They didn't keep track of that stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is the plat map. With
Not very
deeds.
good. They didn't, Dolly.
I
No.
guess not.
I think they did. Well, I mean, I'm just saying that what I've seen down there is a standard plat map. And if they, I wasn't there when they did it, so, but what I saw looked standard. And if they did it that way, that means they have the monument set, meaning somebody went out there and measured the lot like a survey. But they did it all at once. It was bare ground and then just.
That's true.
So, yeah, and land, the properties change, people build on it, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I think that's the best thing you got. And I think that's what the surveyors are going off of first. They'll go out and get that plat, and then they'll say, okay, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for
So my
this corner.
third,
Worried about the houses that are on lakefront.
right.
How many houses are on? Do we even know?
On Lakefront?
Mhm.
Probably less than half,
That's what I'm curious about.
because you've got second tier, third tier.
The first
You know
cottage I
what?
did,
I will definitely,
half
the
the
next
house
time I
is
drive around the lake, count
according to
each
this.
and every and give you that answer. And second tier, because I bet it's probably more 3/4. But I could be wrong. But I will have that answer for you.
about that
So
cottage
where
I
does
did, the
this leave
first
us on the
cottage.
ordinance?
I mean, I think the ordinance is fine in the sense, if you're asking me, number one, if we go out there and find out that they're encroaching on it, then what can we do? I can tell you that they'll move it if it's an offending structure. I think it is risky because, just to what you said, because we don't know where the lines are. But that's not the owner's fault, and that's not necessarily our fault, except for the fact that we're the owners. We're the owners of the park, the governing body. At the end of the day, that's the responsibility. So I just don't see this, the method we're talking about here, as being manageable, governable for anybody, because it's too variable, not clear.
So you're saying allowing docks and structures are too exactly what you just
No,
said?
I'm
'Cause it
saying-
creates-
I'm saying if you have a problem of the scale that you just said, your only rational approach is to survey everything. Because if you're telling me that 50 houses in this city are in violation of the city code because of something, then I'm saying you have to change your whole outlook. If you're telling me that 5 of them are, and we're going to come across them over the next 10 years, then it isn't worth it. But if we don't know where the lot lines are and we can't get them, then it's probably the case that the owner can't either. And they aren't. I mean, it's just there is no good governance answer, except I think you guys are responsible for drawing those lines if you are going to be positively going to them and saying, you owe us money or you are in the wrong.
Well, over the last few months when I've been doing some of the docks and when I've helped Robin out there, I've probably done 20 docks. I'm just throwing that number out as a count. But I know of all of them that I've done so far, I've only come across one property that's not an offense in some way. I mean, I've told Stephanie about different things that need to be added to all the things. I've even asked the questions when Robin adds these offending structures that are on the shoreline and puts them into the system. How does Stephanie cross-reference that back to make sure that they're now getting paid at the beginning of next year? Does she go into her tablet and see all the new stuff that's been added? Because Robin's added a lot of stuff into that tablet.
We're getting that.
Yeah.
At the end,
Work in
when,
progress.
yeah, well, I'll just have to look at the
The thing
tablet
that I'm
right now.
thinking,
That is how it's supposed to
These are
work. Yes, I have a
properties,
message out to them because
shoreline,
that's not
water,
currently how it's working. I'm not able
city
to save her
property.
stuff for whatever
If we
reason.
survey
Okay,
this.
There's
but
a
you
weird
will
glitch.
be able,
Yes.
like when
Can
she
we somewhat-
sees
Even if
right
I
on the
have
shoreline a
to-
patio fire
Give us a
pit and she
close
adds
idea.
that, and
That way if
you'll
there's
be
a
able to
shed
see
right
that to
there,
then
we're
add
gonna-
that
We will fix
appropriately.
it.
Okay.
But even
Yeah.
if we don't get that
Well, I think
fixed
that's just it.
in
When you
November,
have
when I
this,
send
you
that out, I can use your tablet.
really
and I can go
have this,
through it.
You can use
Do it that way.
GIS too.
Same thing. So,
GIS is
yeah.
like, this is the variable
So I'm just
in that.
I'm making notes in there.
And even if they're like right
is there a
here,
thing in there?
No,
Oh,
you know
it's fine.
that you should define
you'll get it. You'll get
they're
it.
still on the land. So it just strikes me as being the true thing where it's like this.
Yeah.
Is going to be, if it is a rare deal, then we're making this far more difficult than it needs to be. Let's get the low hanging fruit first.
Yes, I agree with that.
Meaning, let's get everything that's clearly on city property through those methods.
And then if there is pins out there,
Yeah.
can we get Robin a metal detector to find those pins?
I don't see a problem with that. That's just what Tim and I were talking about. You're in some respects, you can probably figure out the vast majority of these by, I mean, the GIS is still useful. That finding, I think all those plat maps, you could probably get copies of for like $5. I mean, they're big, but they are all split up, as I recall, into little sections. So you could get copies of those with the lot dimensions on them. And then between the GIS, that, finding these monuments and just looking, you'll probably take care of about 90% of them, would be my guess. Meaning you're going to figure them out where they're at.
I've done some surveys out there. I used to do that for a living. And I found property pins. They're not always, sometimes they're monuments, like you were saying. I know where some of them are. But if you want any help with that, I can help you.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then once we got the easy,
Done it.
once you got the easy ones, then you'll
Wait for
probably have a
yours.
good idea too about the question ones. Now when we got.
Like I was saying in my example here, if all these are properties here on the shoreline, this being the water, we get a survey here and skip a couple properties, get a survey there. We can kind of line that up. That was our hope.
Just like we did when we went out and looked at that sunken boat. You remember that?
Okay.
And the lady showed us where her pin was. I about fell out. Considering
I
how
know,
far
because
away.
that's such a rarity for them to know where their pins actually are.
What are we gonna do about this ordinance, y'all?
Right now, do you want another look at it?
So my next question to this, sorry Todd, as you're looking at the thing is what is the offense wise when they start spraying the shoreline and cutting down trees and doing defacing?
Apparently, we decided to help cut other trees down.
Well, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know that there's anything that's, at least as far as this goes.
Because in our ordinance, it says you should not, in the code, you cannot deface any of
It says
this.
that. It also says something about making
In the actual Lake Wabunsee Park section, or is it talking?
correct both.
Mhm.
The very first section is like you cannot deface public property.
I was
And then-
talking to Robin today. Go ahead, Stephanie. I'm just talking a lot. But I was talking with Robin today, and she is weed eating along the shoreline. I don't know if anybody has looked at it, but it looks amazing. But she's concerned because she hasn't sprayed, and somebody has gone along the shoreline and sprayed all the shoreline where she has been cutting, and it's not a city employee that's been doing it.
Julie,
We also have had recently people cut gigantic oak trees along the shoreline that are like 3 to 4 foot in diameter.
Something in the code that says.
Are they cleaning up underneath?
Well, there's, I did the one on
View.
maintaining.
Mhm.
Is
It blocks
that
their
the one I'm
view.
talking about?
See,
I mean,
that's
it's
the only one that speaks to
beautiful
it, but what
tree.
he's saying
3 feet from the
is that
shoreline.
we shouldn't allow that and it should
Yeah.
fall under
Well, you've seen my trees, they're not beautiful,
Yeah,
I
this
spent
is-
them down.
this one I-
Absolutely.
we have to, it's like at the very beginning in the parks thing.
Is the park
Some
itself
people would have
It's
stroke
part
if
of
somebody
itself.
touched theirs out there, and others just didn't.
He's talking about damaging park property.
Yeah.
Are you guys finished?
no.
No.
I gotta get home myself.
Great.
Tree
I have something else when it comes to.
Well, here is the, here's my, I don't think, at least from what I'm looking at right here, that there's specific enough language to handle that. Meaning I have, the defacing is probably good for structures that has trees, but I don't think you could get somebody who's killing grass. I know what you're talking about. They're killing things on the shoreline, and then that will cause erosion. We need to keep that.
And we don't know what our guys use an eco-friendly spray.
We don't know what they're using.
We don't know what they're using, and it's not theirs to be spraying. They have to come in and ask permission to trim a tree or cut a tree down if it's a hazard, or
Yeah, I think I'd probably have to change 216 a little bit. I've forbidden them to dump sand or rock or earth or dirt or any material.
which that goes on too.
Yeah, mostly was about, it was mostly about not people letting people build up, hedges that blocked access.
Well, I mean, it was brought up a few months ago when we were talking about the rope swing tree, and you can't deface anything in the park area along the shoreline, no
Which they
trees, this,
still
that.
have it up.
That's there. I
That's
just,
an attraction to the lake. And you guys are nuts.
no.
That's off
that's-
topic.
Yeah, we're not gonna
I'm
go.
sorry, I-
We're not gonna spend another hour.
What is it?
7 hours.
Don't bring it up. We're not doing that.
So I would have to maybe revise 216. Add something.
And then,
about it.
and a fine in there, or like if they,
Well, if there's any violation here that's not listed, it's up to $1,000 and 6 months in jail. So we're already covered.
and maybe a revocation of their lease with the city.
Revocation of rights.
We can't, the judge. Yours.
Put them out back with the Chihuahuas.
So my last thing is we're having new people sign when they buy properties or whatnot. So we still have 90% of the people out at the lake that can still come in and say they don't know or they don't whatever. So when they pay their dock fees and stuff this year, can we also have them send Stephanie an email confirmation that they know all the rules like we're doing, or
That's
so that
fine.
we cover everybody in one fell swoop and we're not having to wait on 90% to sell their houses?
No problem with it.
So. You want me to send this to everybody?
Well, not right now, but what we're gonna do is we'll revise these and then you guys will create your rules and we'll copy the new ordinance, and then we need to email it out to everybody, and then we'll have to have confirmation when they send in their fees. Under penalty of wedges.
And do we have something in there too, in there already that says that any person, entity of the city, mayor, council member, employee, or public officer that needs to go look at one of their docks has permission to be on their dock to measure it at whatever given time, if there's something happening with the property? What I'm trying to get at is if they're doing like this simple thing that we did tonight, we approved and we worked with those people and modified it to work with them. I would go out to see that. Maybe Tim went out to see that. Maybe Michelle did as well, since it's been tabled and we needed to go see. I just want to make sure that we're able to do that.
Absolutely.
Because
always been a
I've
concern
ran
of
into
mine.
one occurrence where I got screamed and cussed and yelled at that I'm not the city officer and
I'd like to know if I
Okay,
have the
so
permission to
what
measure a
this-
dock.
This is 12-204 says, it's private property owner shall be unlawful for any person trespass on any structure without having consent of the permittee, except for designated city personnel for the purposes of inspection and enforcement of this article. Now,
Who's considered designated personnel?
that would only be employees of the city.
So
City
council
personnel.
members and mayor can't do it.
Well, I would say if you want that, I'd have to change that to.
can you change that?
Yep, to officers,
When
elected.
does it become harassment?
entities. Probably.
You have a lot of people coming out.
It becomes harassment when we try to do our job and the property owners are threatening us with trespassing and
I mean,
having
like
us
more than
arrested.
one visit from a freezer, I mean, you wouldn't want to continuously go out there. I'm just seeing a scenario of you don't think so? Okay.
Well, the scenario that I'm trying to avoid is say Robin quits and we don't have a lake public officer for 5 months.
You guys are all
And one of
coming
us has to
together,
take up the
you get
slack
paid.
to do it, then we need to be able to
You
do
do
it.
get paid, so,
Yeah.
you know, you kind
I don't
of.
think they're considered employees.
It says
They
city
did
personnel.
That's a pretty good loophole.
Are you subject to the personnel policy of the
Not
city?
to claim you on my taxes.
What's it say? I'll read it and I'll answer. No,
Okay,
I see what you're saying.
That's my last thing. I'll shut up.
Thank you.
We need to get
strongly-
that. We need to get that suggested.
I feel strongly about that last item. though.
It is.
We
It's
should
in
all be
relation to the
coordinating
ordinance
where
draft.
we can
This
go out
was
there
my,
and
I think we were all supposed to have.
And then we should have the authority to have Stephanie or you write a letter saying your dock's too big or whatever the case is. You don't have numbers on your dock.
There's no numbers on the dock. Well, that was a trick question during that interview.
There's supposed
Okay.
to be numbers,
and.
front and back.
Right, short.
So, bringing it all
Yeah,
home.
they should be fine.
So if I make these additions, can I put a deadline on any other changes? Or are we just saying this is it? Meaning, you guys can still give me input and I can make a working, passable ordinance, or do you want another draft? Since I've got,
Well, every time you have to make a change, don't you have to charge those guys, you know?
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're
that's
saying
an
vote on-
incentive for them to get on the ball here.
Vote on the changes we discussed tonight.
Well, no.
Okay.
No, I'm saying
Julie?
there's a point that
Oh, okay.
I want to be able to know that I'm giving you guys a final version that you can vote on.
Yeah.
And not bring this next one up. And I don't care. I'll bring the next one up and then you guys will look at it and then if you want to add two more things, that's fine, but we just.
I
But
think
this
that's
is,
an ongoing process personally. I don't think it's gonna drag out meeting after meeting after meeting. And you're
Okay.
getting
all right, well,
richer and richer and richer as time goes on. But yeah, please add something to it every time. So I would be in favor of you coming up with something that we can vote on. And if we read it and decide that there's something that needs to be adjusted, then we pay to readjust it.
well,
But
here's
can you
what-
send it out
here's
a
the
week
diff-
prior to the next meeting? Is that possible?
That'd be like Friday, Monday.
the 12th and then the 26th, right? 26th.
Or at least to where we could have it over the weekend before the next meeting?
I'll give it my best shot. Here's just to the reason that I would do anything at this point is because you're adding big things, meaning
Mhm.
you're saying, okay, you know what I want, write it down in this new ordinance or things like that. If we're just talking about, well, you put, this is technical correction, or can we say and related, then Stephanie will have a Word document of this last one. And as long as it's not requiring wordsmithing of any nature, she can just change it. I'm out of the picture. But no.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
now it does change.
Yeah, see, these changes are the fun part. But you have to do the groundwork. So does that work?
Yeah.
Yes, and if you can have changes to me by Friday that you want to have done, I will have the final version to you by the 22nd,
Which Friday?
16th, this Friday.
Okay.
Or I don't care. I'm partying all weekend. 19th. Next Monday, you have a week. That means substantive things. I mean, you forgot, people who have goats on the property. We need to regulate those. So, yeah, bring in your stuff.
I like goats.
Should have said goats.
I like goats.
All right, so on the agenda where we're talking about the dock ordinance draft, are we tabling this now to the 26th? Is that correct?
I'll move the table to give Todd time to.
I'll second
September 26th, right? Okay, we have a motion to table the dock ordinance draft to the September 26th meeting by Brett, seconded by Tim. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed?
We did talk about not allowing glass over the water on docks at the last meeting,
Yes.
didn't we not?
We
bring
have
that up?
talked about
You
that.
mentioned it. I bet you were gonna look
You
into
mean like
that.
glass beer bottles?
No, glass
Windows, to where windows or anything glass could be broken off that would go into the water.
I think he's
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah,
glass. like
yeah,
that's
that's
gonna
what,
do.
yeah, cut people's feet and stuff.
I remember that, but I don't have a problem with it.
I remember, yeah.
Okay, moving on. ADA handicap ramps. I've been involved with looking into this, and at the last meeting, I was asked what the update was. I hadn't had one at that point, but I've gotten one since then. And if you guys would like, I can forward you the email to what the state says is their responsibility and what is ours. It also got involved again. ADA got involved with the state right away. Remember, we were talking. We had talked went to the state to find out where the state highway went, where it stops, where it starts, that sort of thing inside the city. They also, in that same email, unbeknownst to me at the time, it was telling me the answer to the ADA question, but I didn't read that in there. I didn't see it until it was brought to me by the people from the state. My understanding is the state highway department is responsible for handicap ramps at the corners of all intersections that are on the highway to the city. So a few years ago, 2017 perhaps, they came in, they reconstructed our downtown area and put handicap accessible ramps, so to speak, at the intersections.
I remember that.
Okay. Responsibility. In between that, it's the city's responsibility, which means that if, and we have to be in compliant with the current ADA when it comes to that. So that's going to take a little bit of reading into, so I understand exactly what it requires. For example, let's talk about the ramp that's currently on Main Street in front of the library. That is not an official ADA handicapped ramp as we look at it. To make it such, all we got to do is put a sign up above, preferably on the wall in my case, in my opinion, so we don't put it on a sign and anchored into the street or anchored into the concrete. We put it on the building. It has to be up high enough where somebody's parked in there, somebody driving down the street can see that sign that says handicap parking only. We also have to paint the parking lot, the parking spot.
We have the authority to paint it.
We have the authority to paint it. It's our responsibility. And if it's determined that, well, before I say that, that handicap ramp can be used by several businesses. It doesn't have to be used specific to each one. So in other words, the library doesn't have to have one. The cafe don't have to have one. The grocery store don't have to have one. They can technically all use that same spot because we're not a large enough area that's going to require a handicap spot. With that in mind, if only one handicap spot's going out there, there is a specific requirement for that. And that specific requirement is it has to be handicapped van accessible, which means the parking spot's going to be a little bit wider than the normal one would be. In addition to that, we have to paint the inside to show the international handicap sign. And beside that parking spot, you have to have it striped as though it looks like a crosswalk, but it's not going across the street. You know what I'm saying? You guys understand what I'm saying? It's got to be striped. And that stripe has to be the section that leads to the ramp itself. You can't park directly in front of the ramp and then have this thing where you got to hop a curb to get on. So you have to have your handicap ramps got to be beside it. And then the stripe has got to go up where that ramp is. So there's no parking from the right side of that stripe for the ramp to the far left side of the handicaps, unless it's specifically a handicap accessible for a van or smaller.
That's such a good idea because we've got, I mean, like 88-year-old lady and a 96-year-old cowboy that could definitely use that.
Well, and it can be used by anybody that's handicapped that has the tag. I don't have a problem with that. Now the question is, City Hall has to have one. So collectively, we've got to figure out what we're going to do. Is it possible that we can use the driveway that we have right now between this building and the Lumberyards building, and us put a handicap sign on the wall so the handicapped person can come up there and park? And if that's the case and we can use it, what do we do about the gravel that's on the ground? Do we have to concrete that to make the wheelchair accessible to roll through there?
What about the driveway right over here?
Where?
Just
How far down is it?
It's in front of Paul Langley's old building.
We're different, yeah.
You go down to Kansas Avenue, those are big blocks, and there's one at each end and one in the center of the block. They're not all, am I right, Justin?
No, you're
That's a
absolutely
huge block.
Okay.
There's one in the middle, one on each end.
Okay, and I'm just thinking of the city hall right now because basically there's nothing between city hall and the post office that's in business at the moment.
But
No, between city hall and the
Right.
post office. Now,
Store in
the
business.
post office, give you guys an example, the post office in Charlie Wall's building does not need to have a handicap parking spot specific to them because you can have a handicap parking either on the side, which is what, Second Street? Technically it can be handicapped and they can wheel up to the curb because the county or the state's already put a ramp in there. So we wouldn't have to have a specific one like we would over at the library, okay? So my question really was, if we can designate that one in front of that building down there, then we can share that. If we can't use that, can we use the driveway that we currently have?
I
And if we
like the
do,
driveway option the best.
I do too, but I'm concerned about the gravel and moving a wheelchair across that area. So would we have to,
They wouldn't have to if you have the handicap sign right out in front of your building and just go on the other side of it. I mean, like underneath where your flag is, you can have the sign there and then have the.
that's something we need to look at.
We don't want them going around behind their vehicle to come around.
well, it's like, yeah,
We don't want them going
and I
on the
mean, I'll
highway.
move my car, whatever. we need to do.
I mean, we'll look at it, but I just want everybody to know that we are responsible for the handicap ramps and the painting and the signs. So budget for next year, we
I
got
appreciate your
something in
research.
there.
Well, that's where our tax money, that's what it's for, right?
You talking about the sales tax?
Yeah. For the sidewalks and curbs.
Curbs, yeah.
That's.
That would fall under there in that category, I think, yeah.
We have the money
Special
for it.
highway also. Special highway.
Yeah.
Okay. So anybody have any more questions on that? You guys want, does
Thanks
anybody
for
want the
doing all that
email
research,
copy
Gary.
that I'm talking about from these people? Does anybody want to see it? If not, I mean, I've got it. I'm not gonna get rid of it. I'll print it off and bring it in here and have it filed, but we'll have it.
Speaking of signs, I brought up the stop signs. That guy that Mike was gonna take inventory to see how much we need. It's been like almost a month and we still have one of his signs and he stopped and talked to me today. So, do we know how many stop signs we want to purchase? Or,
For around town, you mean?
yeah, around town at the lake to have on hand.
I certainly don't know.
Do you buy speed limit signs from the same place you buy the stop signs from?
This is, no,
Okay. Never mind.
I already asked if they had a 5-mile-per-hour sign and they do not.
Okay.
You said Mike was gonna get an inventory on that?
Right.
Is that what you said? Okay, I will get with Mike and see where he's at on that.
Is there any way that we could approve whatever Mike says so that I can tell the guy? I mean, he has other people interested, so, I mean, we're making him wait a month and a half to give a decision and he could have sold it to other people. That's just what I'm saying. So could you,
Would you remind us how much those signs were?
$30 a piece?
$30 each.
And they, brand new, I think they were like $116 to $130 a piece or something.
All right, and would you estimate that we could use 10? Or do you think we need more? If you say 10 or less, I'm gonna say tell him to get them. I'll authorize it.
I was gonna say 10,
Okay,
but I don't know. I would prefer to Mike to, yeah.
It ought to last a while unless
Like
you get a
said-
really ambitious sign stealer.
We're getting-
Probably 6. He
Mike.
said, Drew said 6 were in bad shape.
I'm gonna suggest 10.
Let's get a
To have 4 on hand.
stockpile. Yeah.
We'll put it with our stockpile of gravel.
Okay.
Okay.
Get 12
They
change
get used
sticks
for
and
trying to
six.
practice.
Well, I don't care either. 12 is okay. You guys authorize 12 and then I don't have to use my
I'll
spending
move to
authority for
purchase
that.
12 at $30 a piece.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion to approve the purchase of 30. Okay, we've got the motion to approve $30
for
stop
10.
signs, not to exceed 12. No, we have a motion to approve the purchase of 12 stop signs at a cost of $30 each by Brett, seconded by Justin. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Thank you very much. It passes. We've already talked about the handicap, but we're going to need signage for that sort of thing too. So we'll fine tune that when we get fine tuned on what we need for the responsibility for us.
When we're talking about the handicap ramp, which involves concrete, I had talked to DeVader, who did the concrete work for us with the 1% sales tax bid this year, and I told him to look at basically they redid I think everybody knows they redid the concrete as the entrance into DRB, the gas station. But 2 foot by 40 foot of that is actually the city's responsibility of curb that we're going around and fixing everywhere, which comes to about a total of around $3,000, since that's the figure I asked you to add. So I would like to reimburse Mike back for doing our curbs for us. Since we have the 1% sales tax. I talked to DeVader and he said normally towns don't do that. However, being that we're unique and we passed the 1% sales tax specifically for curbs and sidewalks, that he thinks absolutely it would be fair to reimburse him back for that. Now, all the rest of it that he did is totally on him. And in fact, Mike's already covered all of it. He's already paid all of it. And I brought this to him. So.
I just want to point out that Payday brought this to us, asking us if we would fix that, and we told him, no, it's his business, you fix it.
Well, the problem then is that you couldn't just fix that part without him fixing his, because it was going to create a bunch of issues and stuff. Whereas Mike took the responsibility to fix his part, which then allowed us to also fix our part the correct way. So
I'm good with it.
It's
I just
different.
didn't want to step on Payday's toes.
Yeah. I mean, it's after the fact. I mean,
Yes.
it's,
It's fixed. I
But
think,
yeah,
I like the idea of reimbursing money.
yeah, I do too.
So do you have a cost for that 2 foot by 40?
I thought it was $3,300, wasn't it?
I think.
Because it was.
Do you want me to email DeVader?
No, because he gave me the measurements and we did it. I'm sure it was $3,300.
I bet we could find the correct number and then reimburse them in a
It's
couple
$8.
weeks.
$8 per.
Let's defer the voting or the approval of that until we know for sure. So by the 26th, we'll have an answer, correct?
Okay.
Fair
That sounds
enough.
fair.
All right. I'm in favor of reimbursing him as well. I think it's the right thing to do.
Plus he's collecting sales tax for us right now, so I'm sure it probably won't take too long to make up $3,300.
And we didn't have that sales tax back when Payday asked. That's
Yeah.
another point to consider.
Yep, true.
Are you guys gonna do anything about the sidewalks on front of the businesses?
We are going to get to all of them. We're gonna do what we
It's the
can.
business's responsibility, and it's just the curbing on the city.
No, I understand.
Well, all curbing is not usually generally the city's responsibility. It's generally the owners, according to debate or the concrete, because the cities, unless they initially put them in, but after that, the maintenance and repairing them and stuff, he said usually the city does not pay for it. It's the individual.
I never heard that.
He's
Yeah.
going by the work that he's done
Oh, okay.
in the
But I'm
towns
sure
that he's
the
been
city
to.
took care of the curbing and the business owners did the sidewalks.
That's kind of not any different than if you had a sidewalk in front of a residential area that needs repairs. Once the city puts it in, it's now the repair responsibility of the owner. Am I correct, Todd?
Yeah, well.
So I think same thing.
Well, Alma's has the same thing. It is the business's responsibility, but I mean, they got a streetscape grant or whatever, and the city did all the businesses and didn't require them to do so, so it's just what you have going on.
We have some places that will catch a tow and trip a person.
I'm sure we do. And Dolly, I know you yourself put in a new sidewalk in front of your store 20 years ago or 15 years ago.
Yeah, first
Um,
thing they were hounding me, as a matter of fact.
I think the city required her to do so, or they
Yeah,
asked
before I even
strongly
had a
to
chance
do
to
it.
do
But-
anything.
But I'm just saying, times were different. Times are different there. We do have a city sales tax now specifically designed for what you're talking about, sidewalks and curbs and handicap ramps, things of this nature. And if it means that other businesses get a sidewalk replaced in front of them right now, it's because of the city sales tax and not any special favors or any punishment to somebody who's already done it.
What? You're talking about using sales tax in front of the businesses now?
If it's a sidewalk, yes. You got a problem with that?
Oh,
Okay. And what's funny about it?
no, Aisha is gonna breathe a big sigh of relief. She was dreading having to do that. You know, she knew she was gonna fix it. And I'm chuckling because it'll be good news for her.
Okay, all right. Well, I didn't take it that way, Dolly. I'm sorry. I didn't take it that way. I thought you were,
Well, you're probably thinking that Dolly had to spend thousands and thousands of dollars.
I don't know what you
to fix it.
spent on it, but I know
A
you,
lot.
I know you took out a big chunk of concrete and you put a new one in there. I know that. I knew it happened a long
My
time ago.
responsibility. That's what I was told.
At the time it was.
And that's what I'm saying,
That's
different
just what
times.
The mayor said was that now they have funds, as for 15 years ago, they did not.
Yeah. Thanks, Brett.
Along those lines, I'd like to see other things happen that we get funds for. I'm not opposed, and I'm just gonna throw this out there at some point. I'm not opposed to charging people a registration for chickens. Why not? We pay a compliance officer to go verify what they've got and the structures and housing and all that for those animals. Why aren't we getting reimbursed for that?
It would be an awful big, I don't know. It seems like the.
I don't think our
government-
dog
government
policy
getting bigger
is
and bigger
very good either.
instead of smaller.
$2 for a dog, $5 for one that's not spayed or neutered. Registrations, things of this nature, no fines for a dog running loose. There's all kinds of, well, we're not collecting a lot of them, so there's all kinds of problems that need to be addressed. But revenue or not, we can't afford to be giving the city away every time we turn around with something. That's where I'm going with that stuff. So I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit.
What'd you say?
Jim McGregor.
Next thing on the agenda.
Seed grant.
Yep.
Stephanie.
If this is something you guys want to do, we should probably get on it. Did you guys talk about it at the meeting?
I talked to Jim a little bit after the meeting about it, but
I don't know if you guys have had a chance to look at it, but basically, I mean, you can see the different avenues that you can go. I had initially thought, and if you guys jump in wherever, I'd initially thought the IGA building, but
Perfect, but we're not gonna have enough time to do it. 'cause we
there's
have
not
no
enough
engineering
time. It has to be
reports.
shovel ready. You have to have an engineering report, an architectural report. You have to have basically a plan,
However, our city park has all of that ready to go.
and that would fall under the community vibrancy. So
what's the match requirement?
10%.
10%?
10%. The
So
only
$5,000.
downfall that I do not like. Originally, when I saw this, I was like, "This is awesome, $50,000." And then I listened to the thing. It's like, well, $50,000 per county.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
doesn't leave a
which
whole
I'm
lot.
like-
And
Well, I
I
only
think
get
Jim
one
McGregor was
other-
clear to say
yeah.
that there was other places in the
There are.
county that would be.
And Stephanie
And
and I,
this, he said, he sent us an email that was like
Today.
Alta Vista. I mean, there are other
there's
people
only
that-
4 I'm gonna call them organizations that applied for it in the county, only 4. One of them was Alta Vista, City of Eskridge. Was
can't
Hardyville the
remember.
other one?
I
don't
know if
remember either.
Hardyville was on
And
there,
then the City of Alma, there was a library, I think, maybe,
but- Mhm.
in Alma.
Unfortunately, I hate to say this, but if Alma applied for something, odds are McGregor will push for them as well.
Well,
'Cause he was quick to tell Stephanie to slow back.
Well, Stephanie and I are gonna attend a Zoom meeting Wednesday at 1:00 here at City Hall. So if anybody wants to come down and listen to that, we'll have more information during that thing.
What day?
This Wednesday at 1:00.
It's just one of those things. I mean, if we could get our ducks in a row, it could be.
It's a possibility, 25% chance that we can get it. But I'm reading this one here. It says they will only approve one application, maximum of $50,000 for one county. So if we have multiple ideas, we must combine them into one application. Your organization would be responsible for helping to meet its portion of the match. That leads me to believe that not just one person is going to get it, but all four of us could get it, and we all share in the cost and we share with the grant. That's kind of what that reads, but this was dated August 26th. And the email I got today didn't say anything along those lines. Did
It's
yours?
the same thing, yeah.
I didn't see that. But anyway, it doesn't matter. If it sounds like there's a possibility that we could get something, but I think we should do it. 10% shouldn't be too difficult, even if we got the entire 50,000.
So the park, you're saying the park,
That's the
do it
other
for
thing
the
is
park,
we need to figure out
because
what
we
we're
won't
going
have
to.
time to get engineering reports or anything for anything else.
I don't
The
see
time
another
frame.
thing that's as ready as the park because it's all.
Mhm.
So if it goes to the
It's all
park, then- if
documented.
it goes to the park, that's benefits, it
What
benefits the city,
individual
right?
line item
Absolutely.
Is going to, it, if it's 12.5, say a quarter of the $50,000, if they just split it evenly amongst the
No,
communities
it's
that are in it.
matching, so it wouldn't be, it'd be $1,250.
Yeah, for us.
Yeah.
But 12.5 on the
What we
On-
would get
What we would
12,000.
get.
on our
Yes,
chunk of the
okay,
50,
yes,
but-
yeah.
yeah. So, if it's that, what individual line item would be right around that 12.5 that we should submit, I guess. Is it a piece of playground equipment?
Knock
Is it
down
a-
that building, Max and Rodney's building down there. Would that fall into anything? Because they,
The problem is the 30 days or whatever to get the engineering report,
Well-
all of that, to get all of that done.
for demolition though.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
wouldn't be able to
Same
get
problem as
it
across the
turned
street.
in.
Well, and the other thing is it's not knocking down buildings. So if you read into it, it's the downtown facade improvement or beautification
Okay.
of downtowns. They're not gonna go
That
for.
would beautify it though if we didn't have that.
I mean, yeah, but they're
Yeah.
looking at more, I think, like
I know.
rehab
By
type stuff,
subtraction.
you know.
I know.
So 1:00 Wednesday, anybody, public's welcome to come and listen if they want to. I don't care. We'll set something up in here if we have to, or we'll put
So then-
bleachers in Stephanie's office.
Can you make sure that Annie has all
Yes.
that so that we can have that for the park board meeting?
Yeah.
So that,
And she does, but yeah, I'll touch base with her and make sure that.
so you're wanting to know what line item in the park that
Yeah.
we'll be going for?
Yep.
Well, I know, we need picnic patios, we need benches, we need lighting throughout the park, we need,
You guys gonna have water fountains?
rip wrapping the
Why not?
That'd be way too
the
cool.
creek.
So maybe community
Yeah.
placemaking improvements such as, well, this is downtown seating. I mean,
You have a
surely.
public water
Park
fountain.
and
because of
recreation
COVID.
equipment improvements.
Nobody does anymore.
Maybe put sidewalk.
I don't know. If
Restrooms
you
out there,
go
like
down
we do
there
in
and there's
Paris.
a lot of rain and the ice skating rink is full of water. It looks amazing that we have a pond there.
Wouldn't it be great if it did?
No.
Yeah,
Goldfish in it,
Yeah.
All right,
wishing well.
let's,
Like a
they
little
have them
meadow.
all over Europe and they're beautiful.
We can get more information too and see like what they're, like if it's gonna be really specific, like line item things, or if
Mhm.
we can kind of.
And the park board can totally line item it out.
you know,
Guessing
and
we
if
need to,
Annie
or at
can
least
be
have
here for that
something-
thing Wednesday, that'd be good too. She gives her
I'll
a
see.
firsthand perspective what's going on. Okay, shall we move on?
Yes.
Okay, next up is mayor and council concerns. Who wants to go first?
I have two very simple ones.
Go ahead.
The swing set hooks ever get put on the swing set out there?
No. And,
That's only been like 3 months.
well, we fixed it once and then it broke again. And then the wooden swing, you can push on it and it goes about 6 inches that way because there needs to be some bigger,
Bolts.
I need somebody that does.
I
maintenance
tried
on
to
our
screw
equipment.
them in and you get it all screwed in, and when you let it go, it just spreads all back
He's
out.
lucky he wasn't hurt.
How old is this swing set you're talking about?
It's old. It's a
Hey,
hand
friend, the swing set.
Yeah.
The bolt that just holds the top.
Should we
on it,
look
it
at
screws in,
possibly
separates
getting
apart.
newer, better
I would
equipment?
go for that
Screw it
also.
back, but as soon as you let it go,
It's
just
strength
With a
different.
lag
Have
bolt?
you seen,
or
have you
is it
seen the
through
part
bolt?
they have an outlet beside the swimming pool?
I don't know what you call it.
What do you think
It
of
just
that?
All the
needs,
way
it
through
just
and
needs
then-
reinforced, or
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
needs some loving care, there's no reason to fight.
I think
I have to agree with Brett too, look at this one.
All the other stuff's still good on it.
But that's something maybe we can put in a budget when we talk budget.
Speaking of maintenance out there, that picnic table that I mentioned to you that's falling apart. and
This is what I was
Vertical
given
split,
tonight.
you take-
Needs to be
go
put
on
back
either side of
together.
your
We're looking for that.
lag bolt.
Well, I
In-
think
in-
that we need to
like
maintain
in
it.
its
screws.
Yeah.
And in addition to this is
Reinforce the
maintaining, and then,
I'd choose some like wood
in
glue or
addition, there's
something, or
four
some
more,
nails or something.
4 more tables needed.
Well, that's for building new ones.
Yes.
I'm not a fan of building a table and just letting it sit till.
Yeah.
Excuse me,
I
did you say
understand,
Jim said we
It
needed
should be.
4 more tables, is that all?
I was gonna cover that here in a few minutes, so, no, I'm not saying that's all.
Oh, okay.
I opened this door, you take the floor.
He opened the door, okay.
Okay.
Jim is gonna be repairing picnic tables we have out there.
Okay.
And in addition to repairing them, he feels like we need 4 more tables to cover everything that we need out there.
There needs to be more than 4.
Well, I don't know how many we need. I'm not seeing.
That's why I think that Julie needs to have an input on this, because she's the person who runs the bait shop, and she rents out the campsites and deals. I mean, I know Jim would know, but he doesn't deal with any of that. So to have somebody that doesn't deal with any of that be the sole
I
one.
can start. This is a starting point for me. This is a starting point for me. I asked Jim to give me this report, which he's done, which I've asked him, take an inventory of what I didn't say take an inventory, report what the amount was.
Right.
Take an inventory of what we got. And I need a list of materials that you need to repair. And if we need to just flat out replace any of them, I need to know how many of those that we need. And that's what he's provided. Now I can take this, just like Brett suggests, I can get with Julie. I could get Jim to come down to the bait shop with me and we'd talk to Julie firsthand. We'll get something worked out.
There
Okay.
needs to be a few more than that.
And as far as maintenance on goes, I'm not in favor of doing maintenance on picnic tables only in the winter months. If something happens in April or May or June, it needs to be tended to April, May, and June when it happens, not
Absolutely.
8 months later. So I will talk with Jim about that as well whenever we get together. Okay, Julie?
Okay.
Anything else on that issue of picnic tables?
For him to sign.
How many were you thinking, Julie?
I think we need at least 8.
8?
At least.
And those are replacing, well, that's after we fix what we have and needing 8. Okay.
And
Because
10 or
down there-
whatever would not be a
Down there
bad
where the
idea.
tent campers are, there's
Yeah, you
hardly
just have to sign
any
it.
You can
down
put-
there.
Exactly.
And then there's a couple of them up there at the,
Yeah.
at the camping sites where the RVs are.
All right, well, we'll get together, you and I get together with Jim and we will, if we have to get in a vehicle and drive around and look at them, we'll do that, okay?
How many additional fire rings do you think would be a good start as well? Because I'm gonna shop for more of those again.
So if they're
I
ready,
will
if they're okay with
drive
your
around.
that's the way you-
Julie, Lisa helped me get the other ones that we have that have the bar that flips over that has the
Yeah.
grate.
Oh, no,
I want to get some more of those. And I'm going to get with Lisa and see if she remembers where. I know she will. She probably knows the phone number. I'm thinking about a half a dozen more of those.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, you can.
I would
definitely
say
use
at least
6
a
of them.
dozen. Because
Well, they're about $150 or probably $200 a pop now.
I think at least 6 of them. Just because,
there needs to be one over by the rope swing where there's that fire pit.
There
There
definitely needs to be a fire pit over there.
and a picnic table over there.
I'm
as
thinking
well.
over there by the rope swing, we just get one of the homemade metal ones and set it over there.
Is there rope swing anymore?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's still there, yeah. The people that I
All
asked to cut
summer
it down,
long.
for some reason or another, they haven't been able to get to it. But it will be coming down, it will be eliminated. Do we still gonna need a picnic table and a fire ring over there?
Why?
Yes.
It's a
Rope swing?
safety
Are
factor,
you guys-
Becky. People are getting hurt out
You
there.
guys, it says swim at your own risk.
Okay, we're
The
good.
lake is
We're,
swim at your own risk.
we can talk later if you want to, but we're done with that. The decision's already been made.
I still think a picnic table and a fire pit would be a benefit because
That would be
the
fun.
young kids
Yeah, I-
need to go there and hang out where
Okay,
us old people are
I
not.
hang out over there. I skate
Okay.
over there.
We need to put a do not climb on the pole.
I do not climb on the pole.
Big, one of the three big meetings.
no, I haven't talked to him. I haven't talked to him.
Do
about
not
that.
climb on the pole and try to touch the wires.
Well, no, I didn't see it knee high. I was out there Labor Day weekend. It wasn't knee high when I was out there. It must have grew overnight when you took the picture, I
That was
suppose.
Friday night,
I was out
before the
there.
rain.
I was out there on Saturday or Sunday. When did I see you out the lake on Labor Day weekend? Was that Saturday or Sunday? You remember?
I want to be clear, it wasn't the Friday of Labor Day weekend, it was the Friday following.
The week after.
It was Saturday, because the kids were at the radio,
Okay. All right.
and I was on the rope swing.
I noticed that. I noticed it should have been mowed when I saw it on Saturday, but it wasn't. It wasn't so high that a compliance officer would send somebody a letter at that time.
But it is our campsite, one of the 3 big weekends.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I did make a comment about that today, and I was told that it was going to be that's all going to be mowed tomorrow. A little late, but
Well, you obviously don't attend the
mowing down at the pines.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, we did too. He does that.
Okay. Well, in addition, it has to do with what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, also, several months ago, we were talking about an inventory of items that Dunbar sold the city. You guys remember that?
Yes, I remember.
Nobody had the copy of the inventory. Well, guess what? We now have a copy of what the inventory was that we bought. Is it in your packets?
I printed it off.
in there.
I put it
They
in
all have
everybody's packet.
Okay,
They all
all
have
right.
it.
So I think we need to give a copy of this to Julie and just see what she has out there.
Julie
I
has a
looked at
copy.
it and marked off, there was not a mini fridge and there was not a regular refrigerator.
And I think they're on the porch. I saw them.
On the porch?
Her house porch here in town.
A Black and Decker mini fridge.
Yeah,
is-
but not, that was not there, cause Tim's friend donated that one, and then you guys ended up buying a refrigerator for my worms. Cause they didn't have another one.
So what else is missing?
I
The-
believe that was all.
Just a mini fridge and what?
And the refrigerator.
Okay, I'm seeing a freezer on here, but I don't see a refrigerator. One 2-door cooler.
Is it like an ice cream freezer?
Yeah, the only-
There's one white deep freezer,
I thought there was a refrigerator on there.
one 2-door cooler, one Pepsi cooler.
Is it the small fridge?
Okay, the Black and Decker mini fridge, is that the one you don't have?
No, about
Yeah,
10
it's a-
items down, the one Thompson fridge.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the one
Brand
you
new.
don't have?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it says brand new.
Yeah,
One
I did
Thompson
not
fridge.
have that.
So that's missing, the brand new
Brand new
fridge.
fridge disappeared.
Well, from what I heard, it quit working. Was just,
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
and then that
It
was
quit
not
working.
there.
and the Black and Decker you don't
Right,
have.
that's not there.
Was that the one that we were told quit working and they took it upon themselves to get a new one and then did away with it, threw it away or something?
And they
Well-
just took it with them when they left, I believe.
Mhm.
I don't,
Well, the
I don't
Thompson
know.
fridge was brand new because he says it right here in parentheses. Brand new. He bought it.
but that 2-door cooler, I'm still using that one for the beer,
Okay.
I believe.
Which you said it's
It's not
just the
working.
filter issue.
It works, but it's on its last leg. It was when I was asking you guys if it was,
Not working well.
yeah, it doesn't work, but it's not the greatest. But yeah, I still have like the Pepsi cooler, the deep freezer's there, the microwave was there.
That's okay. Everything appears to be there
The
except
safes.
Yes, the safe's over there.
the Thompson fridge is missing and so is the Black and Decker mini fridge.
That was really the only thing that I seen because
And the printer was there.
yes.
Okay.
So
We
that yeah,
can-
there was just a couple of items.
We
that
can
were-
work with that.
The tablet also, you got that?
I have the square because yeah, Stephanie gave it to me.
And the scanner. That was my question.
I have that too.
Cause I thought you were asking for a scanner at the beginning of the season.
Well, I was, cause we got it. We worked it out.
Last thing for Julie.
So the
right quick.
scanner was there then?
Yes.
Okay. Last time I checked, the light that you had requested be replaced and Evergy was gonna do it has not been done. Is that correct? Is
That
the
is
light-
correct.
The light is still not on.
It blinks.
I emailed Nick while I was in the meeting, so.
It blinks on and
Zoning
off.
for this area.
So how long ago was that? How long do we need to wait before we follow up?
That
on
was in April.
Follow up right now.
Okay, that's what I was hoping you'd say. Okay, I have only
And
one
that's
more
the
thing.
one
All
on top.
right, I
we
talked
were
about
It
talking
was
about.
above my camera.
base shop inventory. I talked about the Evergy light pole. I've got one more thing to mention.
Got it.
Listen up. One more thing to talk about, and then Stephanie has an item. Cold weather policy goes into effect November 1st. We will have that policy or a copy of that policy at our next meeting.
It's this, okay.
Okay, and what?
It's on our website.
It's on our website.
It's
Okay,
posted on our website.
all right.
Everybody got a notice on their bill that
Okay.
it was posted on
Okay,
our
so
website.
scratch that. We won't bring a copy of that, but
Okay.
just be aware the cold weather policy goes into effect on November 1st. What that means basically is we cannot cut anybody off from gas
Except,
Well,
except from November 1st up to April something, right?
yeah, but I mean, for our KCC jurisdiction,
yeah, KCC.
Well, yeah,
which is
okay.
not, which the city itself is not in KCC jurisdiction.
So
So
it'd
it's
be-
3 miles outside the city of Eskridge.
We couldn't
and
cut those people
on.
off
Correct. Even though we treat,
unless they're already
All
cut off,
customers.
unless they're already cut off prior to November 1st. All right, so with that in mind, I will be bringing a delinquent list of folks that are behind on their utility bill at the next meeting. And the reason I don't have it tonight is because technically they have until the 15th of this month to pay their utility bills. 16th. All right. We never can tell by the way it comes out of our bank account. by the
well,
way.
because they come out of your bank account on the 15th.
They do.
They do.
Yeah.
They're supposed to, based on the paper that you
Okay,
signed.
all right, so regardless, you guys on the city council need to be aware that as I'm speaking right now, we are roughly, and I'm just gonna throw it out there, almost $40,000 in arrears for people that owe us money.
Holy cow, that man.
Now,
Rick sneeze.
It's
You want
been that
to-
way for years, cause I
yeah,
printed,
but
had it printed out.
we're
years
gonna,
ago
we're
that
gonna
was
start
more
going
than that.
after it. We're going after it. I'm not gonna sit on it anymore. 2 weeks ago, we were 80,000 in debt. And I brought that up to Stephanie, and 2 days later, Stephanie had that 40,000 resolved pretty
That
darn
was our
quick.
law working,
You
but
go,
yeah.
girl.
But she was on it. She was on it already, but we need to be diligent in getting the rest of them out. We cannot afford to be paying everybody's bills for them. Sorry. If you're one of those people, just be aware. Okay, that's all I've got. Stephanie,
Did those lights ever get hung? No.
what lights?
The lights that I provided to be hung out there at the Fate House.
There's
I
still,
have a list of about 10 things that I had requested that since April. that haven't
Also,
happened
I'd like to point out, the one above on the shower house side is the one that's to come on at dark, go off at dawn. I want to make sure that they don't get switched around. Motion light goes on the boat ramp side, and the other one comes on when it gets dark and goes off when it gets light.
Ooh, on the shower
I
side.
think
That's what I've
Julie
had
wanted,
requested.
I
I
would
know
like that
she wants a
opposite.
motion on that one, but I don't want a motion on that one.
Julie, get with me as soon as you can about the other items that have not yet been done at the Fate House. Okay, so we get that knocked out. Okay, can we go to Stephanie now?
I will quit.
I apologize. This should have been on the agenda. This is my fault. I thought that this was already done when we approved to purchase the truck. So this is the lease agreement, the lease purchase agreement with Flint Hills Bank
It's a standard lease purchase agreement for a vehicle.
Move to approve.
for Terry to sign.
second,
Okay.
Yes.
Motion to approve, seconded. All in favor? No further discussion. We're passed.
I move to adjourn.
actually,
second.
wait,
Wait.
Last meeting, I asked permission for Robin to be able to burn the brush piles at the lake. So what is the burn number that she needs to call before she would burn one of those brush piles?
I have no idea, but
Contact the county.
County.
Fire
I
district.
can
But
ask Mike,
But
I mean,
each person is given an individual number. So what's the city's number when she calls in to tell them, like, our number? Now I'm drawing a blank. But when
Right, I
I
know
call
what you
in, I
mean.
have to give them my number. So what's the city's number?
I don't know.
Phone number?
No,
yeah, like
you have a burn
permit.
permit number.
Does the city have one, or has
I
it
gotta look it
always
up every time I
fallen
call
on
in.
the fire department? That I don't know.
I would
Because I mean,
assume
Mike
the
and
city
Drew
should
are on the
have
fire
one.
department,
What fuel
so
is
we
she
can
using?
ask.
Yeah.
Fuel.
Calling dispatch,
Blub,
tell
blub,
them
blub,
I'm having a
blub.
fire.
Yeah.
Woof.
Are you planning on using fuel to burn those brush piles or just? We did it today.
Yes,
Well, John Taylor's out there.
We have a
and
deal.
Andy too, who's the fire chief.
We can apply for
And
burn
maybe after
permit
a little
and everything
bit,
else. Just fill out a form, they send you a number.
Okay, so we'll get that for her then. The second one is Julie wants Aspen's number. So Stephanie,
Okay.
can you give that to Julie?
absolutely.
There's one of your things gone.
Do you have the initial?
It was brought to my attention that the weed eater, the blade weed eater, they've locked, it's been stolen since last year, I guess. And it cuts down the big weeds and whatever. So I would just like to give Mike the authority to buy a new one, like.
Where was it when it got stolen? Stored at the
I
lake?
don't see where I'm supposed to mention.
No, I don't know. Terry, do you know where that weed eater was when it got stolen?
No, but I talked to Drew about that, and Drew said it was 6 to 12 months ago when they noticed it was gone. And I asked him if they looked at the camera, and they said yes, but unfortunately the camera, just like City Hall, doesn't go back far enough where they can follow it.
I was just saying that I would like for them to purchase a new one
A weed eater?
with the blade on it.
Well, can't they just put a different, swap your head out and use the same?
We've only got one. We need a second one. I
Do it.
firmly believe we need a second.
Yeah,
In
there's
fact,
one at the
Okay.
lake with
If we
Robin.
need
and
two
then
weed
there's
eaters,
not.
then we need two.
I talked to Mike about that, and I went ahead and ordered it through Mike because it was under $500.
Done
there
deal.
you have it.
Done a deal.
Awesome. So then the last thing is a work session for the lake.
We got a question back here in the corner.
I just want to let everyone know that I'm storing the weed eater and all in a string gasoline over at John Taylor's shed. Just right.
Is it secured or just laying out in the open?
We should
It's not
probably-
laying out in the open. It's
So
in the shed,
is it secured?
No.
but it's not either at the lake. They don't want it.
The bait house doesn't have a closet that they lock things up in?
They have a closet, but they don't mind a lot.
Is it lockable?
Yes.
Okay. I would think that's where it needs to go.
Okay.
That's what I would think, because it's locked up. Otherwise, it's gonna disappear too. Becky?
Can I request a tablet? Because I'm not able to even do my job. It just like takes me forever just to come out pictures. I'm using my own camera and it's full and then it doesn't want it. I try to email them to myself and then it won't go through and it's just.
Do you know how much it costs, the one that you need
Huh?
costs? How much does the one that you need cost?
$500.
I would say get the exact one that Robin has.
It doesn't have to be anything real fancy, just something I can take pictures and email them to
I
myself.
thought that we got
Or,
Robin's
or
for
print
less than
from that
150.
tablet to
I
the
think
printer.
it's fairly cheap.
Yeah.
150, something like that.
I can't remember exactly, but it was
I
under
move
two,
to
I
approve
think.
up to $150 to get a tablet very similar to the one that Robin has, so that Becky has one just like it to use.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion to purchase a tablet for our city enforcement officer, code enforcement officer, not to exceed $150, seconded by Michelle. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Passed 4-0.
Thank you, guys.
Richard?
I have a question. I need clarification. Julie gave me her schedule for the bait shop for the month of October. It should be open Friday, Saturday, Sunday only. And she indicated that the boat ramp gate will be closed the other 4 days. Is that the message I should send out? That there will be no boat ramp access 4 days out of the week?
Correct.
Okay.
By appointment only.
I have
If
one
they
more
can find someone to make that
question,
appointment.
if I can.
Yep.
Justin, when we were talking about that old letter, you pulled it up on the computer.
Yeah.
How'd you do that? Is there some way I can pull it? Are all the old letters on
I-
the computer?
It's just for me being, scanning every time I go home and actually at work, but it's a lot easier there, but
You scan all of the letters
Yeah,
that ever
like any-
came through here?
yeah. Although I got really bad at COVID because it just piled up and I wasn't ever at my office, but yeah.
Can you forward?
Sure, yeah.
any-
Yep.
Like for Dave Mers, can you forward anything that he has?
Yeah. You know what about it was? I could-
2018.
2018, okay.
Is it him or is it Linda Pope? Or
Well-
Yeah, because there was a big deal of who's,
It's, yeah,
maybe it is.
but technically he's been paying the bills all this time, the taxes all this time, so actually the laws would state that it belongs to him. I mean, if he wanted to fight it. So I don't really care who it belongs to, just I'll send a letter to both, I guess.
That door shut.
I will look at that.
So. So it's probably July. Did I send that out? But once again, I think it might have to. I don't know if anything is.
No, Brett had something else to say.
Okay.
I don't know if we do the control F and.
Yeah, I know.
I just wanted to.
Yeah,
set
that's
up-
what I did, yeah.
Thank you.
I've got a June 25th of 18. That's what I sent, yeah, so. How do I send it to you? What's your email?
Public officer,
At eskridgeks.org.
Okay,
thank you.
not public dot or anything, just
Nope.
one word?
Yep.
Brett, what did you have?
It's the end of the season and before we get behind like we tend to always do with late things, we should probably have a work session in the next month for the lake.
Do you want to do it before the lake closes in October? Do you want to set it up in November?
I don't care if it's the week after, the first meeting after it closes, or if it is before.
I personally like the, after it's closed, that way we've got all the reports and everything is going to be available to us to look at and review as well. I'm all in favor of that.
That's fine. So the first Monday in October, in November
14th.
is, no, that's the
Seventh.
meeting.
Meeting November 7th.
November
Oh,
7th.
sorry, you're talking about work.
Do you know anything from Colby's?
No, but I can call and ask if what his schedule
I
is.
want to know if we're on the schedule, if we're gonna get it done.
Well, he said he was putting us on the schedule, so it's just
Is he gonna be able to do the wall?
which wall.
The wall.
The wall.
One of them we want, one of them we need.
Well, we're in the middle of a drought, so I think our odds of that happening is getting closer, right? Because we needed less water.
Prior to this rain that we got,
water in
I
the-
really
I'm doing my
wasn't
share to
sure.
get rid of the water.
Well, there's hardly any water going over the spillway when I went over
Right.
it today. Like it's almost completely dried up.
Yeah,
Well,
With
I
all
would,
the rain.
I
I
would like
went
it if you
over
would
it
give
and
it
there
a
was
shout.
nothing.
Yes, I will. I can.
My motion still stands and I imagine her second.
And my
still
second.
We're not done.
November 7th.
Do we vote on that or we just automatically say it's gonna happen?
They have to vote on a work session.
It's not a meeting.
No, well, it is a meeting, yeah, it is, and it has to be called by, the call of the mayor, it's just like a special meeting, if it's not in a regular meeting, so. If you guys if the mayor calls it, it's fine, you don't need to vote on it.
What time? 7? PM?
Whatever time is good for.
That's what our meetings are. so
Yeah,
we
that's
can make
fine
it-
unless somebody can't make it. Yeah.
Okay, we will do a
November
workshop on
7th.
November 7th. This is a bait house / contract, right? Bait house contract,
Well, this
bait
is.
house / contract.
No.
He said like,
I said lake, so this encompasses everything. Fees, everything.
So is the bait shop gonna be a separate one? It's something down the road before?
No,
April?
I'm encompassing the bait shop with
Boy.
the lake.
Okay, all
Wow.
right, let's see what we can get done in 2 hours. Okay,
So are you gonna put the camera on so we don't have to come to the meeting or to the work session? Oh, I suppose you won't wanna do that. Never mind.
I
think
can
about
if you guys,
I mean,
I
generally, we
would-
only
I
record
would-
the meeting.
Yeah, just record the meetings. We want to get a whole bunch of stuff on the website that's going
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
confusing
you're right,
people as
you're
well. Oh, you had a council meeting on the 7th. I wasn't aware of that. Okay, 7 p.m. on the 7th. Now, Tim.
I move to adjourn.
I
motion
second
to-
it.
Those in favor, we're adjourned. Y'all get out of here. Michelle, Brett, Justin, Tim, thanks for coming. Todd, thanks for being here. Stephanie, you too.
My pleasure.
And members of the auditorium as well.
We actually got a lot done tonight.
We did.
I think we could have.
Stephanie,
at least
co-sign.
30 minutes off of this meeting.
More than normal for the amount of time.
Please.